our show was much more woman-centered than what I have previously seen in the Star Wars world.
What are you talking about?
What makes you say that?
We were hunted, persecuted, forced into hiding. All because some would consider our power dumb.
It's ironic.
We were on the brink of extinction. We were blessed with a miracle. The gift of life.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Power of one. The power of two. The power of many. Imagine that! The power of one. The power of two. The power of many.
What the hell?
Yes, yes.
Make some noise!
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the loss of a good friend, a friend that I've had since I was a child, who now lays dead on the pyre of the message. What's up, everybody? Welcome. Happy Saturday. Glad to see everybody here. Make sure my mic isn't muted. Make sure we got some guests in the back. We are ready to go. How's everybody feeling? Are you excited? Are you happy? Do you feel more inclusive? That's the real question. Do you feel more inclusive? That's the only thing I care about. Because, God damn it, I know Star Wars does. All right, we got some special guests today. As always, first, we got to bring in my co-host, the man of the hour, the evil Moffrisman.
Oh, wow. Oh, wait. Let me put... I'm sorry. How are you? Am I evil? Am I that evil? You know, is there anything... Is it good and evil anymore? I mean,
No.
You know, it's kind of how we wield the power. I mean, isn't that what we're being told? I mean,
well, it's the power of one, the power of two,
the power of many. Oh, Nick,
we've got Nick from Echo Base Network. What's up, brother?
It might help if I unmute my microphone.
How you feeling?
Oh man, the power of many, like the new shirt that we just released on our merch store with the power of many getting that like the 15%.
We already got the grift in 2 seconds. Come on. No, I love it.
Yeah,
I saw that. It looks beautiful.
I helped coach with that shirt, by the way, Nick. He was like,
I
was like, what about an Acolyte shirt?
Help?
He's like, what do you want to do? I was like, the power of madness.
This
There he is. There he is. Oh, he's for us.
Welcome back to Echo Base Network. So great to have you guys.
Shit.
Gosh.
What's up,
man? It's good to have you guys back. It's been too long. To anybody who doesn't know, Echo Base Network is absolutely like where I got my start. I love these guys. They were very helpful and very supportive of me in my younger days. So
yeah,
give a big round of applause for the boys from Echo Base.
Yeah. Now X-Wing's got his wings and he's out there flying on his own.
I flew a little close to the sun with the Acolyte here, man. I don't know.
I'll never forget the first time he was in chat and he was like, he was wanting to come in to the stream.
Oh yeah,
and he was like, "Never meet your heroes," and I'm like, "Who is this guy?" Like,
just some asshole. Still the same. Still the
He,
same.
he was having a bit of a problem, after meeting Theory. That's a whole different story.
That's a long story. Shout out to everybody from Wicked Virtues chat that came over. Hello, welcome to the Hangar Bay. Good to have you here. I know we got a little raid last time too, but
I got to make a quick phone call, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I gotta get something out of my case back there to show X-Wing.
Oh, there's 2 Nicks.
All right. Well,
this is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
Yeah, screw that.
This is a great time to say what's up to the chat. There are so many of you here. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go through and say hi to absolutely everyone. We've already got super chats and gifted memberships and member chats and everything we got to get through. Tonight's going to be a very full night, a very fun night. And actually, we have some footage from a new Dave Filoni interview,
bro,
which Risman has seen. I have not seen it yet.
I can't. It's a long interview, though. By the way, we can't show it all. But it's like, I'm so. Coach knows I'm so very frustrated. I'm so frustrated.
Listening to Dave Filoni, who would have thought?
No. This is my. Oh my God! Keep going. We'll get there.
All right, let's hit some of these super chats, gifted memberships, and everything that's going on here. Speaking of Echo Base, Jedi Master Lawrence is here, gifted 10 X-Wing memberships. Let's go. That was extremely, extremely kind of you. How about a little dance, huh?
Is Dan Vask a moderator? Did I approve this?
Dan Vask is a moderator here. I went around you. Wow. Look, hey, he's a million subscriber superstar. Okay. All right. We got some celebrities. They get exceptions, just like in real life. You know what I mean? COVID and everything like that. Jedi Master Lawrence for another 2 says #cancel Disney Plus. GraphWeb, if you're out there, it's finally working. You did it, buddy. Echo Base again. Debbie Young, Mama, what's up? Says, I can't stay for the show tonight, but I wanted to wish you a very happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day in advance.
The Acolyte soundtrack is on sale for all fathers.
Yes, it is. And it's a banger. It's a banger, Coach. Have you listened to it? It's a banger.
Hell no.
The Witch King of Angmar himself, Angmar WK, gifted 5 memberships. Let's go. Beautiful. Maria Espino, my good friend, my old director. Wow. We actually did a movie together. Says stopping by to drop a leg for my brother, but I got it.
Oh, wait. TMI. It's too much information. It's too much.
I thought she was going to say, like, I got to go bang out a script or something.
You got to go bang something.
That is not what she said.
Yeah.
Toddzilla, my homie that I met down at ICCC is here. Says, what's up, X-Wing? Hail, Matt. Good to see you, brother. Also says, hail, Nick and Coach, too. Oh, my God, I have a bubble stuck in my throat.
What up?
X-Wing, do you remember when we saw a lot more of Maria than we ever expected? Do you remember that?
I do. We're not going to talk about that. That's an HR nightmare. We are not doing that. I am not putting up with the HR paperwork I have to do with that one. Psychotic Mom Goose gifted 1 X-Wing membership. I love it. If anybody was gifted a membership, please throw some of those emojis in the chat. We'd love to see them. We'd love to see them. And thank you so much to everybody, all of my members. Look at all these beautiful people in the chat. I love you. Thank you for being here. Holy cow. That was a lot.
What happened?
I don't know. I guess people. I don't know. I don't know why you're here. Why are you here?
You invited me.
Oh, yeah.
You don't mean me. You don't mean personally. You mean the people that are here in the chat.
Okay. All right. So I put up a poll before we went live. 14 minutes ago, we got 94 votes already asking, is the Acolyte the iceberg that sank Star Wars for good? And I'm interested to hear what you guys think on the panel, because for me, I mean, how many times have we said this, right? This is it. This is the end of Star Wars. This is the end of everything. I'm done. I'm never coming back, yada, yada, yada. And I think for a lot of people, it is true, right, that we are done. Well, we can't just like stop watching it, right? It's a train wreck. Come on.
Well, I mean, Coach needs to stop covering it, right? He needs to stop covering it. He hates it. He should stop covering it. But for the rest of us, for the rest of us that are real fans, I mean, how could you? I always go back to, does fan stands for fanatical, right? We're not doing this because we're just kind of like, oh, I'm kind of casual. We love this franchise, and if it's great, we're gonna say it's great, and if we feel like it's not great, we're gonna say it's not great.
But we get to cover it, right? I mean, so that's the thing that pisses me off so much is people come in and they're like, just stop talking about it. Like, bro, I'm a Star Wars channel. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Just stop talking about it means you don't think the same way I do. You don't know how good this should be.
It means I don't like your opinion. So be quiet.
Yeah.
100%.
It is censorship from the court.
If Disney was creating Star Wars that we absolutely loved, they would probably hate it.
What would they say though? I mean, Star Wars that we like, there's too many men doing awesome shit.
It makes too much sense. It's too. It follows the canon too well.
Look at how much money that's making. It's just stupid.
But they're creating Star Wars right now for such a small percentage of the population. Let's not even call them. I'm not even going to say that a population of the fans. I'm going to say they're creating it for such a small population of anyone, right? And Star Wars is supposed to be universally loved.
Universally.
How do you take a franchise that's supposed to be universally loved and then change the way you create it for a fraction of the population? I don't get it.
Well, that's what I love. They say Star Wars is for everyone. Well, then why are you making it for like 6 people?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Say what I want or be silent.
Why is Dan Vasc here? Can we cancel him somehow? Cancel him. Cancel him. Get him out of here.
He's another co-host.
I'm just kidding.
We love Dan Vasc.
But you asked why I was frustrated. What I was looking at earlier, and Coach is going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I found they're on an Ahsoka press junket in a way because it's up for awards. So I encountered another interview with Dave Filoni and someone who was interviewing him because of Ahsoka. And so I just wanted to hear everything he was talking about in regards to Star Wars.
Okay.
And every single thing he said, again, is antithetical to what we're seeing on the screen right now for the Acolyte. And it frustrates me. It frustrates me greatly. Because I'm like, if that's really what Star Wars is all about, and everything he said is things I would agree with, why in the fuck are we watching the Acolyte?
Because I think so. You know what's so funny? When we're talking about the Acolyte, I really don't blame Leslie Headland for this. And I said this in the last stream. I do not blame Leslie Headland because she came with the treatment and they said, okay, now make a Leslie Headland story. So to no fault of her own, she's making a story about, her young lesbian problems. And boom, there we have the Acolyte. You know what I mean? The difference is when Dave Filoni talks about a story, and I've been saying this since the beginning, I've never trusted that guy. Everybody says, well, he's the apprentice to George Lucas, and he's the one that's going to fix Star Wars. I'm like, bitch, I have seen the shit he makes. No shot, like no chance whatsoever. What he's doing is he's taking stuff that George said at face value. Like, for instance, hey, we watched some samurai movies. We really like that stuff. Why don't we pull from that? And so he makes a dojo on a spaceship with literal, like, Japanese weapons on it and kendo helmets and shit. And I'm like, it's called subtlety. It's called taking inspiration, not legitimately actually doing exactly that. And if you remember, in Ahsoka, she's walking around in like wooden samurai clogs. Mm-hmm. It's fucking space, Dave. Just figure something out. I don't know.
I get it, and I understand everything that you just said. However, the Ahsoka series felt so much more like Star Wars than this mess. that we're getting right now. I know you hate it when I say these things, right? But I'm just saying this series perplexes me for so many reasons. And most of all because it's not made for children. And I'm not saying that Star Wars should be childish. But what I'm saying is we have an 8-year-old twin who's killing her twin because she doesn't like. I can't get past it.
Well, the argument seems to keep changing, right? So the age-old debate is Star Wars made for kids? And we can just yes or no around the panel. Do you think Star Wars is made for kids?
Yes. Yeah, not only yes, but they just reinforced it. Rosario, Dave, everyone just reinforced the fact that it was made for kids. So I say again, put it in the trash can. Why are we watching this?
I made a video about that.
I'm pissed off. I am pissed off tonight.
George Lucas answered that question so many times, and he answered it in different ways.
Right.
He said he made it for kids. Then he said he made it for young boys. And then he said he made it for young boys and their fathers. And then he said, I didn't make it for anybody. I made it for me. Like,
maybe
so
all of those are true.
That could be.
Maybe he made it for 12-year-old boys and their fathers, and everyone can enjoy it. You know what I mean?
He didn't make it. He didn't make. I will posit. He didn't make it for what we're seeing right now. He didn't make it for 8-year-olds killing their sisters, lesbian witches. These things that we're seeing right now. I don't understand. I don't understand why we're seeing them. I really don't.
I agree with what you were saying, Risman. Like, people are going to definitely take issue with this. This will be a hot take. But hey, that's what I do. This show is so bad, it makes everything else Disney Star Wars has made look good. I know, right?
By comparison, I feel like that's
important.
Yeah.
By comparison. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Doesn't actually make it look good, but by
no.
comparison.
The Book of Boba Fett's shit. But it would be so much more enjoyable to watch that than this. However, that being said, I'm at and I think a lot of you guys are there too. I am no longer at the point where if I watch terrible Star Wars, it doesn't affect me in a negative way anymore. It doesn't ruin my day.
Yeah.
But I used to be there. And ever since I left The Last Jedi, I've never watched anything Disney Star Wars has made, and it affected me negatively.
Kenobi sent me, dude.
I just laugh it off.
Kenobi sent me.
It's either going to be great or good, or I'm just going to be laughing. And that's pretty much where we're at.
Well, hey, let's be honest, though. To be fair, there was one other time where it did affect, I think, a lot of us emotionally. It was Mando Season 2, Chapter 16, when we saw Luke again.
Yeah.
That was the only good emotional thing I think that I've ever... And since then, what's crazy is that was truly peak, because if you look at the graph since then, it's just... right down to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. And what's so funny to me is that right after Chapter 16, you see the internet explode with positivity around Star Wars. Like, we did it, guys. We're back on track. This is it. And then the immediate direction is, let's make sure we don't do that anymore. Let's not do that anymore. In fact, let's get as far away from that as we can possibly go. I think that's a good idea. What do you guys think?
I missed the Book of Boba. I said it before. Lord help, and I'll say it again. I missed the Book of Boba Fett. Right? At least, you know what I mean? At least that was fun to watch. Right? There is nothing
funny to watch too.
Yes.
Like a
it was pretty funny.
Silly. We laughed. We laughed at it. We picked at it. But what we're watching now, is it fun? Is this entertaining?
No, it's not fun. It's not funny. It's just cringe. Terrible crap.
I can totally get this take too. Like Deep Fate Luke in a boring show pass. I totally get that. There are a lot of people that were like, ugh, dude, have you guys completely forgotten this is Disney Star Wars? And for a moment, I'm like, oh, shit, you're right. You know what I mean? But much the same as the very small moments where when I was watching Ahsoka and I got Anakin back, in those few brief moments, I'm a happy Star Wars fan. A few brief moments. And then, of course, the plane drops 37,000 feet. We hit the ground, and I remember that we're watching Disney Star Wars. But, you know, that's key jangling for you, baby.
Well, but also,
love it.
But also remember, you know, the Acolyte has been in progress for 4 years plus. Remember the sizzle reel? It's never happening. You know, they ran out of money. They had a problem.
Never happening. They're not making the Acolyte.
Yeah, we know that's that's it.
There's no money in this show.
It's never Coach's favorite, you know, Stephanie.
It's a bit of an inside joke there, if anybody knows.
But all I'm saying is, so enter Dave Filoni into the situation, you know, and he's like, well, I mean, the ship's already sailed. We've already spent, at that point, they spent $50 million. They spent $50 million on this thing before it even started. Really.
And is that considered part of the 180 million or 190 million? This is okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. So now
it doesn't even include marketing that they.
Where did that money go?
They spent on that marketing.
Here's my question: Where did that money go?
We don't know yet. Because everyone's like,
find out someday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got 5 more episodes to see, right? So maybe we'll understand where that money went to. But at this point, for me, it's like they could have spent $400 million more, right? The story sucks.
Yeah. So I was listening to a couple guys talking about it, and they said even outside of Star Wars, if this were just a general sci-fi show, it's got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of problems. I mean, dialogue, the story itself, film. So one thing that's driving me nuts, it's so funny. I liked it when it started, and now I hate it. The film grain, super heavy film grain, you know, problems with the shots that they're actually making from a cinematography standpoint are an issue. The dialogue isn't just, I mean, it's abhorrent. And then you stick it in Star Wars, which inherently is a death trap of issues when it comes to Star Wars, because now you're having to pay attention to how does this affect all the stories around it? What does this mean for the overall, you know, meaning of the Force and stuff like that? And the bottom line is they wrote a bad story with bad dialogue. They cast bad actors, and then they dropped it into Star Wars, and they're like, should be fine, right? It's like, no, it's not. And not to mention, they made it divisive, because unfortunately, you know, it doesn't really matter how you paint it. When you do put things on the altar of woke, when you put things in there, you know, DEI, ESG, everything, people are going to reject it. Society is like a human body, right? When there's a cell that's abnormal, people reject it. It's just the way that things work. Now, you can have whatever kind of ideology you want, but the bottom line is when you put an abnormal cell in a normal system, the body rejects it. And that's what's going on. People are rejecting it because they're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It's what it is it's not good. But I just want to X-Wing, can you highlight Obi-Wan Can Blow Me's last comment? Because
it's a great name, by the way.
Because Coach, I meant to say this when we were on our stream the last time. We were going through all those super chats. Gracious sakes, there were so many of them, and I think we mishighlighted something that Obi-Wan, he's been very upset about it since then. Wasn't picking at you. It was just the way that it all went down.
Yeah, no, and even when we thought that you might have been referring to us, we were just saying, "Oh, yeah, we're not giving them."
I have no idea what we're talking about.
We're talking about this super chat, and you had highlighted one.
I think I was even there for that. Yeah, you were like, "We're not giving our money to Disney. We're not doing it." And I think he got freaked out. He's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean you."
Yeah, no, we weren't mad at all. We were just saying we're definitely not giving Disney.
Can you highlight that again? I was halfway through reading it. I'm sorry.
Shit.
It's okay. It's all right.
No, Obi-Wan Can Blow Me. It's all good.
Oh, I'm not mad at all.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't remember the moment. I vaguely do, but we've talked about it several times, and Nick and I see it all the time, and X-Wing already mentioned it earlier just a few minutes ago. We get told all the time as Star Wars content creators, why are you talking about something you don't like?
Right.
What?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I get
If you don't
that.
like it, just shut up.
Yeah,
Leave it alone.
I get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did think that you were saying that to us, but no. It's all good. It's all good. And I get it. Like some people are like really meaning that. Most people that say, well, if you don't like it, stop talking about it. That's because they don't like your opinion.
Right.
That's because your opinion is contrary to theirs. So it's like that's their default. You know, all of these woke, I love everything Disney, Star Wars makes. You know, I'm a critic, but I've never criticized anything they've ever done.
Yeah, I love everything they do.
Yeah, they can do no wrong. This show's great. What's wrong with you? You know, they're like all a bunch of NPCs, and they all have the same responses to everything.
Yeah.
It's really tiresome. Like, golly, come up with something original.
Have you seen that diagram where it's like the way nerd spaces work, where it's you have a space and then people say, you should make that more inclusive. Why aren't you letting us in? And then they get in and then they change the space completely. And then when they change the space completely, it's like, well, if you don't like it, you can just leave. It's like, oh my God, dude. All right.
Yeah,
real quick.
And I made this point on one of our videos, or I think the one we made earlier today, where I was talking about, you know, this is not a Coach doesn't go anywhere, Jay, except to Icon.
I'm sorry, my eyes are somewhere else. What now?
Yeah. Drunk 3PO said, "How did I miss Coach in Dallas?"
Yeah, I stay in the living room, man.
Shout out to my boy Drunk 3PO. What's up?
Unless you come to Nashville for Icon in October,
I will be there.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
you won't ever see him you'll see me at the meetups because I'll go out, but he doesn't go.
And
but
by the way, huge congratulations on Drunk 3PO, just hit 80K.
Oh
my
nice.
God. Oh my God. It's an absolute pleasure to see that that number in front of there.
If I hadn't looked and if somebody had said something, if they said, man, he hit 100,000, I would have been like, God, he probably hit 100,000 a while back, man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know, like 80,000, he's going to be way bigger than that.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah, especially with this project he's got going with the Ripperverse is going to be putting out.
And our project.
What's y'all's project?
Man, nobody even knows about it. This is how bad I've been about talking about it on the channel.
I was talking to Eric July and I heard about it from him. And I was talking to Gary from Nerdrotic and they were talking about it.
So like a year and a half ago, whenever it was, maybe it was I don't remember. It was a while ago. Jay went and saw not the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. What's the new shitty Indiana Jones movie? The Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
So he gets out of Dial of Destiny and he calls me and he goes, I can't do this anymore. Like, we have to make our own story. Do you want to make a story? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And so we sat down, we had a couple meetings, and we came up with this idea for an awesome graphic novel about an Indiana Jones type pirate with like heavy Christian influences that gets embroiled in all kinds of all these different issues and goes on an incredible journey. It's awesome. We wrote the book together and then now are sitting down and actually writing the script for the book itself, because you have to write these graphic novels in kind of like a script format. You can't write it just as a book and then stick it onto a page. We already have our artists. We've already got a little bit of previs going. I'm forging 6 handmade cutlasses for the book to sell with the book for if anybody wants to buy one. But I mean, they're handcrafted cutlasses. Like, who doesn't want one of those things? You know what I mean?
Nice.
So it's a huge project. I think it's going to be awesome. There are already 3 incredible people who have gotten the Invicta pirate flag tattooed on them because it's just an awesome design.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've seen that. I was like,
yeah, it's a skull and
I hope it
crossbones
works
with a
out.
crown of thorns. It's really cool. I think it's going to be awesome, but it's the first of a 3-book series. I think it's going to be great. Anyways, that's the project. We have to hit some super chats really quick. Wiley Dave for 5 says, hey, X-Wing, did you pick up your package from the P.O. box? Have a happy Father's Day. I did. I have them sitting right next to me. If anybody knows me, they know I like the 12-inch figures. For some reason, I went on a run of buying the 12-inch figures. And Wiley Dave was nice enough to send me some of the Legacy of the Force electronic, still in package, 12-inch figures. So I've got Jango Fett, I've got Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon Jinn. It's awesome.
Jango Fett. Who's that?
Yeah, you know a funny story.
I mean, most people I've talked to have been like,
So when I was in Dallas, I was gonna get in line to go meet. I'm drawing a blank.
Tamara Morrison wasn't there. Was
Yeah, Tamara Morrison.
Okay.
And brain fart. But anyways, I was gonna get in line, but it was you had to have $100 cash, and I didn't have it in cash on me. But I was gonna go talk to him and be like, dude, I would love to see you in another Star Wars project.
Give me a 501st show, for the love of God, please.
But I hope they get competent writers to do another Boba Fett show or something else with you in it, because I like you, but God, the writers of the Book of Boba Fett were god awful, and they ruined the character of Boba Fett. And I was just going to see what his response was, and I was going to record it on my phone, but I was like, man, I don't got $100 in cash on me.
Yeah. Wiley Dave,
I'm glad Ghost Rider's not here in the chat, by the way.
Yeah. Anyways, King's Advisors for 5 says, Comrade X-Wing should really be fighting for democracy. Look, I love Helldivers. I'm always going to love Helldivers. I am so bored, bro. I am so bored.
It's not Helldivers. It's Douche Divers. Please call it the right name.
What?
I've never played it.
It was a really fun game, but it does.
Oh, here we go. Here we go again with the prostate.
Here we go
problem.
again. All right, Big Rob for 5. Do you think Vader sits when he pees? No, actually, he just pees right in the suit because his wiener's burnt off. Toddzilla for 5 says, besides Star Wars YouTube channels, I'm into men's health and well-being channels. Men are under attack, especially fathers. Notice no fathers in Acolyte. Did you notice how they stepped on their own dick like 19 times in that last episode?
What?
It's actually kind of funny that I said that because it's so female-centric, but they really did step on their own dick like multiple times. The funniest one is that they're like, we're all about trans inclusivity and, give hormone blockers to little kids and blah, blah, blah. And then they have the conversation between like the coven leader and the little girl. And she's like, little kids don't know how to make decisions. You're not ready to make a major life-changing decision like that. And I'm just watching the episode like, oh.
Well, I never even made that connection, but yeah. Well,
oh yeah, I did.
Good point.
100%.
Oh, Ghost Rider is here. Good to see you.
Yeah. I thought I saw him in here. Yeah. Hope everything's going good. Working for the Ripperverse out there, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
I know he got that job, and
he was working in the warehouse, right?
Yeah, moved out to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yep.
Mark of Reality for 5 says, I don't want my kid watching anything Disney makes now. The trust is gone. Good luck getting it back. So this is something I say about Disney all the time, is that Disney used to be a beacon of innocence. That's what was so beautiful about Disney. It was when you walked into a park, you went into a land of fairy tales. The stories that you love came to life in a real space that you could live in. And slowly that's now changing from, instead of living in a fairy tale, it's, this is what you should expect from the world. This is the real world. And I'm like, no. I fucking hate the real world.
Yeah.
But
I had to grow up and live in it. I don't want to do that. I want to go back to being 8 or 9,
But then again, apparently they're so inconsistent, because what I understand is Inside Out 2 is familial. It's something you can go to with your kids, and the things that happen there and the questions that are asked are things that you might expect, right? And you would, not like oh, it's a flyer on Star Wars and all of a sudden there's lesbian witches and there's no father and all these things, you know what I mean? But Inside Out 2, apparently you know what you're getting into. And again, I was at the movies earlier today and families were there watching it.
Yeah.
And they were all loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Well, I was on Valiant Renegade stream and Alan Inc. popped on and said, I think you're going to be really surprised by me and Chris Gore's review of Inside Out. And I told him, I think it's just because they finally put some adult emotions in there, like anxiety and stuff like that. All of a sudden we can really get into it. You never know. Anyways, Dave Hales, what's up, brother? 4 against 1,000. This series would be better if it had an interesting story and characters. It's like watching a stranger slideshow of a business trip to Boise, Idaho.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that.
I think that's very disrespectful to Boise, Idaho, by the way. Boise's
a shithole. No, I'm kidding. Actually, Idaho is pretty beautiful. There's some pretty beautiful spots in Idaho. But no, a lot of people have been saying that this is basically one giant therapy session for Leslie Headland.
Mm-hmm.
I call her Lesby Headcase, but yeah, I mean, that basically seems to be what they asked her to do, though. Again, like, good for you. You did exactly what Lucasfilm told you to do, and it's not working out. I can tell you that much. Thank you so much, Dave. Good to see you, brother. Big Rob again for another 5 says, 2 fatherless, spice-addicted sociopaths with wizard powers in space. What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Hashtag Acolyte for life. So have you seen the latest argument now? You know, spice creams. Just the most cringy fucking thing they could have put in that show.
Spice creams.
Spice
My
cream.
sweet little
The
girl.
recipe is available, by the way.
Treat.
You can find the recipe on StarWars.com.
Yes, the recipe exists for spice creams.
Well,
So
I'll stick to pizza rolls.
we
Ma! Bring me the pizza roll!
So we were all laughing and giggling because we know that spice is a drug in the Star Wars universe. Always has been. Always. I mean, come on. That's where you get your smugglers, spice running. It's always been a thing. And so when you hear spice creams, it's like, hey, do you want to get some crack cakes? You want to buy some crack cakes? And she's like, no, crack cakes are only for good little girls. And I'm just laughing my ass off.
Nick, tell the dialogue. The dialogue is the cringiest. The spice dialogue is the cringe. You still remember it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my sweet little girls deserve a sweet little treat. Don't you think, Cora?
Oh,
How the freak do you remember that?
he did.
Because as soon as they said it, it was so bad. It's
Yeah.
sort of like one of those things, like, you know, if you guys ever saw 2 Girls, 1 Cup, you know.
Come on, man.
You just can't forget it, you know. it was so bad and cringe that I was just like, you know. It's sort of like when you get like a dumb song stuck in your head, and you're like, crap, now it's gonna be stuck in my head all day and I can't forget it.
Yeah, he's lying there in bed thinking about spice creams.
Yeah.
So now the argument is that
Hang on, I'll be right back.
we're not actually Star Wars fans, and you didn't know this, but they're
Well,
actually just
I know
talking
you're
about,
not. You're a
We're-
fake fan. You're a
We're
fake
just talking about normal spices. It's just a spiced cream. It's just a spiced cream confectionery treat. I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. You're an idiot. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm usually much more friendly than that. Wicked Virtue for $10 sent a super sticker. Doesn't say a word. Thank you,
Well,
my
it's
sister.
a super sticker, so it wouldn't say a word. It's a sticker.
Did it say a word though? Hold on. Let's go
No,
look.
it's a super
Did it say
sticker.
a word?
There's no words. It's a sticker.
I know. Well, sometimes the stickers say words. It doesn't look like it said a word. I don't even know what it is. What is it? It's a dancing fox. A dancing Japanese fox.
Mhm.
Just like Star Wars. Thank you. Paul Blunt for $2.79 says, look at the pipes on Rissman. Damn. What is he referring? Were you singing The Power of Many in the background and I missed it? What?
Yeah. My voice is legendary, so it's probably.
It's true. I've seen him do karaoke. Andy Masterson for $2 says, Nick's sculpt is done. Coach is 80% 6 scale. Let's go.
Oh yeah, they're getting their figures. Let's do it.
I love it. If you
do it.
haven't, go
Can't
over
wait.
and subscribe, dude. I mean, the guy, he does incredible work. I have mine sitting right back here, my lovely X-Wing figure.
Yeah.
I want to take it out of the case and display it somewhere, but I feel like there's this weird thing when you're a Star Wars collector. Like, if you really love it, it stays in the box. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Only if it's vintage, baby.
Like you.
Hey,
No!
That's a great time for me to show you what I pulled out of my case that I
Do
want
it.
to show you.
Yeah. Let's see it. Let's see it.
So this is a Star Wars toy that I never thought I would own. Ever. Never
Did
thought
you
I would
finally
own
buy the Ahsoka you wanted to buy?
it. No, I don't. So I don't want the Ahsoka anymore.
I can't blame you, bro.
I wanted it.
If Dave Filoni wants you to have it, though, Coach.
I don't want it anymore. But X-Wing, can you make me a little bit larger? Like do the
Make it bigger.
Yeah,
There you
here.
There you go.
There you go.
The vintage Jawa.
That's a plastic cape or vinyl
with
cape.
the vinyl cape. Yeah.
Never
Couldn't
thought
afford,
I would.
couldn't
I
afford
would
it
have
on
this
card
guy.
back, I guess. Then, huh?
That'd be 20,000.
I know. Yeah, JD636 sent me a couple. One of them is the Kenobi in the vinyl cape, and I have them. No, I'm sorry, not the Kenobi in the vinyl cape. It's the
Coach, is that the Jawa that was stealing all of Kenobi's shit in?
that.
Kenobi's
No,
theory?
that's the Jawa that
This
dated
is the one that got
Pelimoto.
Yeah, got laid, but no,
Oh.
not dated. Like they, you know.
They were just mashing.
Oh,
very, very furry, very furry, very furry, very furry. Yeah.
Gross. That's disgusting. I don't want to talk about this anymore. The Malvor for 5 says, if Disney is okay with losing money in viewers, they should give me a series to make. Can't do any worse than what they're doing now. So this is a part of the conversation that I wanted to have. Oh, okay, here he is. Hold on real quick. So Jay got sent a lot of stuff on Carback, one of which appears to be one of the very, very expensive Luke Skywalkers on Carback, double telescoping yellow lightsaber.
Okay.
With, I think, the blonde hair.
it's
I don't
got to be
remember.
blonde hair. Double
Yeah.
telescoping 12 back. It'd be a 12 back A, and if it's mint on card, depending on condition, it could be like
That's
25,
your 25. Yeah.
$30,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, send DM me a picture of it, and I'll tell you if it's
He'll
fake
be
or
able
not.
to tell you. Yeah. He told me about it, and I'm like, yeah, it's not one of those ones. There's no way it's one of those ones. And he's like, I'm telling you, it's one of those ones.
If you
I'm
got
like, I
an
don't
Obi-Wan
believe you.
Kenobi double telescoping saber, that's about 300,000.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Because they're so obscure, rare.
Yeah. Holy cow, man. Holy cow.
Holy cow.
See, yeah. Just open it up and take it out so you get a better picture of it. Open the card back and then set it out so you can get a better picture.
Let's not do that.
Yeah. Don't do that. It was a joke. Everyone was quiet. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I didn't know what to say there.
Yeah. If you have anything on card back, bro, just leave it. Just leave it.
I
Okay.
opened a pop-up R2D2 pop-up lightsaber.
Did you?
I did. The bubble was cracked,
Yeah.
and I was like, I needed a mint one for my loose collection, and I'm like, I'll open it.
Very rare. Rare indeed. Yeah, take it out of the box, play with it, have some fun, and then just leave us a review. I'm sure it'll be worth it. Okay, I really want to look at this interview with Dave Filoni and find out what this guy is saying to the Star Wars fan base.
I'll be right back. Technical issues. I'll be right back.
Make sure to turn your camera off.
I know. I'm trying.
What is he doing? Oh my god, this guy. Okay, so and
I
now,
was gonna be Nick too.
and then there were two. There we go.
He left.
So the big question, the big discussion always is Dave Filoni really the guy that's going to save Star Wars? I don't know if you believe anything he says, Coach, but the guy's been successful in a lot of animation, right? So, I mean, people loved the Clone Wars. He moved on and did some other stuff that, I'm not a huge fan of the Bad Batch. I thought it was good enough, but I think I'm so starved for actual Star Wars at this point that it was just kind of boring. That's a great, if we're getting good Star Wars, then somewhere in the mix, in the middle, we get the Bad Batch. And it's like, okay, this is something to tide me over until we get the next Star Wars project.
I'm
But
with you.
in terms of live action, I think the problem is, for me, he's got this really Japanese idea of what Star Wars should be. And then beyond that, any chance this dude gets to just shove Ahsoka anywhere into any crack, he wants to do it, because for him, that's his Luke Skywalker, right? He would love to see the expanded universe stories of Heir to the Empire with Ahsoka as the main character. And I think that's what he's doing with Ahsoka.
And actually, he said in a different interview, when what's his name on the Happy Sad Confused podcast was like, oh, your movie, do you have an idea? And well, you should just do Heir to the Empire. And Filoni didn't say much about anything else, but when he said, Josh Horowitz said Heir to the Empire, Filoni said, I don't know about all that. Right? He's absolutely not doing it. Not doing
Why
it.
would you bring Thrawn in at the exact time that Heir to the Empire is occurring and bring Thrawn into your story with Ahsoka if you're not planning on doing why would you put Mount Tantus in your story if you're not planning on doing exactly that? I think he's full of shit.
Because he doesn't want to do what came before. He doesn't want to do Heir to the Empire. He wants to do a Dave Filoni story.
He
And
wants
I'm
to
not
make it look like he did Heir to the Empire. He's gonna tweak it slightly and go, look at what an incredible story I made, and it's gonna be Zahn's story.
It's already too late for him to do it, though, right? So I mean, it's like he's gonna do what he's gonna do, but I don't want him to do it. I personally don't want him to do Heir to the Empire.
Me either.
No,
right?
I don't think
'Cause he's
anybody
gonna-
who likes
he's gonna-
Heir to the Empire wants to see him do that.
I want him to do something original. This is what we always go back to. This is the problem with the Acolyte. It's inspired by 75 other things, right? I don't want it to be inspired by nothing, right? Do an original freaking Star Wars story for once. Doesn't need to be Heir to the Empire. Doesn't need to be anything else. Give me a real story. Can we do it? Apparently not.
Well, I mean, I would say the most original story that we've gotten so far has been Andor. And as much as I've flip-flopped on that show, I don't think, again, by comparison, we knew how good we had it when we were watching Andor. By comparison.
I agree.
By comparison.
The problem with Andor was those of us who were getting up and watching it 2 a.m. and it was a slow burn.
Yeah.
Slow burns are fine. There's nothing wrong with those. They could still be a great story, and it was a great story. But it was a tough watch between 2 and 3.
It ain't no 1 a.m. watch party kind of show.
Exactly.
That's
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and why is it? But why is it that Andor actually works as a Star Wars story? And my opinion always has been, it's Star Wars is about good versus evil. The rebellion versus
Wrong.
the end. Tell me.
I mean, Leslie Headland told us it's not good versus evil.
Oh,
It's not good versus evil.
Go fuck yourself.
But he said Star
The
Wars.
it's going to be the Empire versus the Rebellion, right? All these things. It's the human element, right? It's the archetypal story about us rising up, finding our way, doing what we never thought we could do, and then the Jedi and the Sith are a part of that. Right, the lightsabers, the Force, all of the rest of it is always worked into that in a very organic way. Now it's like it's so bifurcated now. Now it's like we get part of it, or now you wanted lightsabers? Here we go. Here are the lightsabers. Right? They never bring them out except they're gonna kill, or they're gonna light up the place where they're trying to go like a flashlight.
Yeah, what was that about? That it was like Jedi only draws their lightsaber when they're ready to kill.
And then you see them ignite a lightsaber like 5 more times with no fighting. Even using it as a flashlight at one point.
The threads are not a weapon. You can't control it like a weapon, and then uses it as a weapon like 30 seconds later.
Yeah.
And then literally takes a Jedi Padawan, uses it as a weapon, a threat for intimidation. What are you doing?
It just goes back to the creatives in this series specifically. They don't understand Star Wars.
No.
They don't understand why it worked. And so all they can do is inspire themselves from all these other things and then throw fake Jedi into the mix with lightsabers and say, well, you didn't have enough lightsabers before. Here you go. Lightsabers and then some. I'm like, you're still missing the point.
I'm gonna put
We don't care about these characters. There's no good versus evil here. There's nothing that I'm invested in. I don't want to be any of these characters.
You don't care about the little girls?
No.
Well, you're a bigot. That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line.
I am.
Okay, really quick, because I have to piss like a racehorse. I put a poll in the chat that I think is really interesting because it's something that I think prequel trilogy fans and original trilogy fans still disagree on. George certainly feels a certain way about it. I think especially in modern day Disney, they have it way twisted. But the question is the Force in balance when it's all in the light or in balance when it's 50-50 dark, 50-50 light?
Obi-Wan told us.
Well, don't ruin it. Let everybody answer. Let everybody answer in the poll. I'm going to use the restroom. I'll be right back. You guys hold down the fort or discuss.
Yeah, sure. You already know my answer to that, drunk boy. How much have you had to drink tonight? That's what I want to know.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
This is my first drink.
Oh God, your eyes even getting smaller. Like that's what mine does.
Listen, I'm so very frustrated. You know I am, Coach. I'm very frustrated. And I had this conversation at the movies with other Star Wars fans because they do exist. They do exist in real life, by the way. The franchise,
other Star Wars fans?
Yeah, the franchise isn't dead enough that there aren't real fans still out there.
Sure.
And nobody understands what we're watching.
Nope.
What are we watching?
I don't know. But here's the thing, and I'm not all because I made 2 videos focusing on the whole witchcraft aspect of it, okay? And I do happen to be a Southern evangelical, whatever. That's not what this is about. And that's not my gripe. But it is interesting to and by the way, I'm totally okay if they have the witches in a show or a series, they're portrayed as bad and good wins. I'm good with that. That's okay for me. All right. But what is interesting is go back to Ahsoka. That's the last thing that's happened in Disney Star Wars in terms of setting. Mm-hmm. That's way down the road. Okay. Yep. That's as far as they've taken us outside of the movies. Right. And there was a heavy part of that show, a huge part of that show were the witches and what they did and Morgan Elsbeth. And now you go, so that was then. Now you go all the way back here to the beginning. And this show happened from a certain point of view, is about the coven of witches who happen to like each other and they don't need no man. And they undergo some type of genocidal experience. And now the show's about the 2 that survived. And it's weird to me that Disney Star Wars, and look, what came before that? Tales of the Empire. Half of that miniseries was about a witch. So it's like everything they're doing. Go back and watch the Clone Wars. I'm okay with the Night Sisters episode. I'm okay with the Witches of Dathomir. I'm okay with sprinkling that stuff in. But it's like we have an over-reliance on that now, and it's freaking awkward, dude.
It's everything now.
Yeah.
And have you seen Dave Filoni's wife?
Yep.
Oh, let's not go into...
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
And you wonder why that shit is all witches now?
Hey, I said that the other day on Twitter, and boy, they came after me. Like,
well, good, because you're right.
But the point is super valid, right? The Night Sisters and what they did in the Clone Wars and all that, it worked in the context of the story they were telling, right? Palpatine was involved. We have to deal with this, and all of that worked great, in my opinion, right? But now it's just witches for witches' sake. It's like let's move past it. Why? It's not that interesting of a story. Can we just keep going?
Does anybody watch Star Wars for witches? Let's be completely honest.
No.
We tolerated it because it was something that was written into the expanded universe. I think it was 1994 or something like that when they came around.
Yeah.
We
the
get
Courtship of Princess Leia in the Ewoks movie in 85 before that.
So, we get it. It's a part of fan canon, right? Because EU is fan canon. That's what we traditionally call canon. But just because it's a small part of fan canon doesn't mean it has to be the whole fucking thing now. Okay.
Yeah. So here's a question. You're talking about young boys, like George Lucas made this for young boys and their fathers and da 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 da.
Yeah.
All right, I was a young boy once.
Long time ago. Coach.
How many young boys have a fascination with witches?
Not any I knew growing up.
I don't know any.
Well, with bitches, but not witches. Maybe.
Exactly. Exactly.
T-shirt, make a T-shirt. Bitches not witches. Hashtag
It's kind of different.
So
Bitches,
it goes,
not witches. It's
it
different.
goes back to what Chris Gore said famously a few months back when he said they went wrong when they made Star Wars a girl brand.
Girl brand, yeah.
And there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got this. Who has fascinations about witches? Young girls do.
Yeah.
Females do.
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote about witches for Star Wars? George Lucas's daughter did.
Yep.
Okay. That doesn't resonate for any of us.
No.
And that's what they're giving us in droves.
Well,
Yeah,
it's,
we got
it's
Ahsoka, too.
everything now. It's everything now, right?
And by the way, just one other cherry on the top of this shitty Sunday, right? This was supposed to be a series about the Sith. Has there been a fucking Sith? Where are the Sith? Have they
There's
shown?
one. Remember,
Did I
he was
miss
standing on
them?
Octo and he hit his lightsaber once. That's what we get.
Milo
That's not
Ren.
even a-
Milo
That's
Ren.
not even a
It's the Asian guy, by the way. It's the shopkeeper. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
without
willing
a
to put
doubt.
money down. It's him.
It is.
That's
I think it's a woman. I don't think it's going to be a dude.
It's going to be the shopkeeper.
It's
100%.
Nick.
Manny.
Nick.
It's
Nick.
Manny
well,
Jacinto's
we'll talk
character.
later.
It's
All right.
Khmer. It's Khmer. It's Khmer.
Is that
But
his
it-
name? Come here.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
we don't know any of the names of any.
We
of these
don't know their
people
names because
we
none of
know-
us care.
We're not
Nobody
invested
cares.
in the characters. Like, who gives a shit? I know
Jedi
Osha
Master
and May.
Soul. Yeah, May and Osha. Those
And
are
Soul.
the,
Yeah, actually, man, Soul is a victim here.
Yeah.
And you know what
He-
the crazy part is, too? People are calling him Discount Qui-Gon.
I'm not getting that
the
from
fuck?
him. I think he's the most least offensive character in the entire show.
Before it's all
100%.
over, Soul will probably be the Sith Lord, right? So we got man.
That's
we
cool.
got-
It's going to wind up being
Before it's
Soul.
all over, the only person we've liked in this series, they will somehow make us hate them.
Yeah.
I
I
love it.
Mark
I love
this
it.
down. Mark this day down. Because we can't have anything nice anymore. We
All right.
can't.
Let's
Kids
talk
can't
about
like
this
it.
poll because I feel like this is important. And the reason why I feel like it's important is because George came out not too long ago at the Cannes Film Festival and says, I feel like they don't understand the Force. I wrote it a certain way and people just don't seem to understand the Force. Now, I feel a certain way, but the question is the Force in balance when it's all the light or balance when it's 50-50 light and dark? Now, this poll, believe it or not, with 81 votes is almost perfectly in half. It's 54-46 with 50-50 winning out over it's all light. Now, I'll go first here just because I feel like this is a hot take. I feel like that's wrong. The Force is in balance when the Sith are destroyed. That was the prophecy. He's the chosen one. He eliminates the Sith and brings balance back to the Force. There are Force users who are light and dark, right? But you don't have 2 light users and 2 dark users, and now the Force is in balance somehow.
Yeah.
When
I
you
agree.
eliminate the Sith, then the Force is in balance, right? Because if it were all the light and all the dark, and that's what makes it in balance, you know, the yin and yang thing, then there should be 700 Sith when there's 700 Jedi.
Yeah.
You guys?
I agree. I'm in complete agreement. I feel the exact same way.
Look,
I
the problem with it is that people like to think, and they do it out of ignorance. They use what they understand balance to mean.
Their point of view.
It's everything's in equality.
Right.
It's 50-50. That's not what balance means in Star Wars. George Lucas told us. It's destroy the Sith. Only the light remains.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's it. But Disney, they've showed us time and time again, that's not what balance of the Force means anymore.
Yeah.
They've
Right.
changed it.
And they're also trying to use that same point of view to bring balance to, the actors and actresses in Star Wars. We got to have the right amount of POCs,
Dark versus
women, lesbians, gay people, trans people. We got to bring balance to the Star Wars lore and cast.
I personally think I kind of agree with what y'all are saying, right? That the idea is we're going to eradicate the Sith, but the nuance is, and the subtext is, and what keeps it all going is, you can never get rid of the Sith, right? You can never get totally rid of the evil in the world, in our lives, in what exists. But we hope always that goodness will prevail, and we'll keep that.
It's an allegory for human nature, right? It's the sin in all of us. It's the want for power and greed. It never goes away. It can only be controlled.
That's right. But there's no ongoing story if you totally eradicate it.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not like a proponent of somehow Palpatine returned, but the subtext, the reason behind that does make a certain amount of sense, because the Sith is never gone, right?
Yeah.
We have to keep them suppressed, and we have to
this comment right here nails it more perfectly than any other comment that's ever been said in this entire stream. The dark side of the Force is a perversion of the Force. It's not an equality to the light. It is a perversion of the light, and that's why it's out of balance. Why do you think? So again, going back to why this show screws everything up, when Plagueis is perverting the Force creates Anakin to bring balance and stop the perversion of the Force, the dark side, bringing balance back.
And these witches are like basically
do your homework.
Yeah, the witches are basically saying the same thing. Like, we were almost exterminated, and some considered our use of power of the thread to be unnatural, and
a little on the nose there, lady.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing, X-Wing, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to serve it up, and you're going to jump right in, and you're going to want to talk about this. And maybe I'm wrong, because this is your era of Star Wars where you have the expertise, not me. Okay.
Go ahead.
We're sitting here having this conversation about the balance of the Force, and we're all in agreement of what it meant originally.
Right.
In my mind, it all started going the wrong way before the sale to Disney, when George Lucas and Dave Filoni and whomever it was did the Mortis arc. I like the Mortis arc, but that's where everything was like, what? What? The balance of the Force is totally different now. You got the father, you got the son, you got the daughter, and that's the balance. They balance each other out. Come on, man. You just changed everything in Star Wars canon.
Yeah. Ryan Kennels talked about this on how Dave Filoni's been destroying Star Wars for a long time.
Yeah. So to your point, I would agree 100%. But again, this is something that sort of had to be put in to kind of explain away some stuff like Abeloth and shit like that. You have to make it make sense. But in my mind, there has to be some kind of embodiment of that sin. There has to be an embodiment of that perversion. There has to be some wellspring of where this all comes from. And in a way, this kind of parallels like religion, right? There has to be a reason for sin. There has to be a reason for it. And if you have to make a Satan, right? There has to be a reason why we're turned to sin and stuff like that. So for me, it makes sense in a way that they would exist, but the balance is not that there is one and there is the other and they're in a constant struggle. Balance is the light, because in our world, the same way that Christians practice religion, a balance in Christianity is not I sin half the time and I'm a good Christian the other half of the time, right? No. It's an eradication of sin and staying in the light that makes it true, that makes it pure, that brings you into the light. That's the balance. So for me, it's a tough one. I totally agree with both sides of the fence, where they say the Mortis arc completely destroys the Force, and then other people that say it totally makes sense, not because the son is perverting the Force consistently. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings in the same way. There's this discordant harmony where the light is always trying to suppress the Force, but there has to be some kind of there has to be some kind of battle from the dark side, the perversion, the sin. There has to be some symbolism there where it comes from. And that's why I don't hate the sun, because it has to come from somewhere. So the sun makes sense for me. Is that fair?
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally think that the Bendu in Rebels embodies more of what I believe the balance of the Force is referring to, because it's literally balanced, right? It's not one way or the other. It's literally in the middle of it, and that doesn't mean
Like
it's
the great
being, yeah. It doesn't mean it's being perverted. It doesn't mean, you know what I mean. It doesn't
Great
mean.
Jedi.
No, I hate that. He's not a Jedi at all. He's just evaluating good versus evil and trying to move forward as a result of that. And so I think there is some of that I guess they're trying to do in the Acolyte, but the problem is they're failing so miserably in the storytelling, in the writing, in the execution of it. It just comes across to me as a bunch of cosplayers with lightsabers.
That's what it is. Yeah. So our little discussion right here was way too fucking highbrow for the Acolyte, because they are not in that highway at all.
No.
This is so for me, unfortunately, this is basically boiling down to the Jedi are colonizers that show up to basically a tribe of people who have annexed themselves from the galaxy because they've been persecuted, right? Mm-hmm. They've been persecuted. They're not accepted, which is a actual thing they actually say in the show. They don't like them because they're all lesbians and they practice the dark side. Like, no shit. You got exiled because you're dabbling in the dark arts, right? Not a good thing. Wasn't good in Harry Potter. Not great in Lord of the Rings. Isn't good in Star Wars. That's a pretty universal theme. And so they leave, and what happens? The fucking colonizers show up and try to steal our kids.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about that. My question. I agree with you. They're going to make, and again, I don't care what they do in the show, because this show is trash.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that, as a Star Wars fan, okay, this whole thing about making the Jedi look bad, and did they make the witches look, have they made them look evil? Have they made them look bad? Have they made them look like they're dark side users? No, they haven't. But they are obviously Force users. So here's the Jedi.
They're thread users.
They're what?
Thread users. It's Instagram.
Yeah,
thread
right.
Yeah.
So they show up. They want the kids. And I guess the Jedi failed because these witches obviously have a high midichlorian count.
Right.
But the Jedi missed them or whatever. So they're going to kill all of this entire coven, where only the two girls remain. And this further is going to make the Jedi look bad, evil. They committed genocide. And look at the show. Those witches don't look bad. They're not, I mean, to me, it looks like evil in real life.
Yeah.
With their little ceremonies and chants and things like that. But nothing that they said or did in the show looked bad at all. As a matter of fact, they look like the victims. They're going, nobody in the world, in the galaxy accepts us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Victim mentality. I'm sorry. I need
No,
a beverage if we're going to continue. I'll be right back.
It's I'm with you, Coach. We've talked about it before, and I seen it in the chat here as well. It's going to come to pass for whatever reason. The Jedi are the ones that killed these witches,
yes,
right? Because of their perversion of the Force, because of the way they created these twins, because of all these things were not the way the Jedi felt that the Force should be wielded and respected. And so I'm like, while I don't find that necessarily hard to believe, I still go back to, why are we telling this story? Right? We already know the Jedi fall from grace. We already have an established set of canon. from George Lucas around what happens with the Jedi. So why do we have to why do we have to have this Scooby-Doo-esque, examination into what they're doing now? We could have told any number of other stories, and we couched it in a Sith-centric story. And so far, all I'm seeing is the Jedi are dumb. The Jedi are stupid. The Jedi are not okay. This is not interesting to me.
Yeah,
So-
I agree with Drunk 3PO's comment right there.
Yeah. So I hate
the two white people are the two that got killed in those first 2 episodes.
I hate the word because I feel like it's used a lot to like falsify popular issues, but literally systemic or systematic deconstruction of the Jedi is what's going on here.
Yes.
Absolutely. Instead of being portrayed as a good guy, and this is something that's been floating around on Twitter a bunch lately. They're saying the Jedi were never the good guy. Yes, they were. Like, shut up, dude. They were the good guys. Were they problematic? Were there some issues there? Yeah, 100%. And George went into that in the prequels saying they weren't perfect, but they were a force for good, right? Look what happens in World War II, right? America, we're the good guys. I'm sorry if you're from another country and disagree with me. America was the good guys. We dropped 2 suns on Japan. Not a great look, right? Not a great look. We dropped them on civilians. Wasn't a good look. But guess what? The world stopped burning that day.
They were warned.
Yeah.
The world stopped
They were
burning
given
that
their
day.
chance.
Okay? You know what I mean? Like it. So a much more interesting conversation to have is how far are you willing to go if you're in the light to stop the dark? That's an interesting conversation, right? If you're a force for good, how far are you willing to go and forsake these values of life and everything to stop the darkness? That's an interesting conversation.
I got a question for Rissman.
Tell me.
Is that the Lego TIE Interceptor behind you underneath the table or on that shelf?
Oh no, over here it's actually I've never built it. You know what it is?
What is it? It looked like it, but I couldn't quite tell.
No, it's the Scythe. I've never built it. It's the Inquisitor ship from Kenobi.
Okay. Did you get the Interceptor that just
No,
came
I
out?
didn't because I had bought the play set, so I didn't buy.
Didn't we get you the Interceptor for your birthday, Nick? I'm trying to remember. It was me and was it Debbie?
No, you and Donna Hergenrether.
It was me and Donna Hergenrether. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it wasn't the Lego, it was the actual
the actual was it a TIE bomber or was it TIE Advance?
No, it was a TIE Interceptor.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That was a good one. That was a good present. So
yeah, I'm once I get my studio built, I'll have all that stuff on display. Sundowner's got me a Y-wing, so I'll have all that stuff on a shelf. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Man, look at the smiles. You just start talking about actual Star Wars and everybody's all great.
Yeah. And we're like, oh yeah. Once we get off the Acolyte, we're like, oh,
it's amazing how that happens.
Because we're still
we got House of the Dragons season 2, so
and this is the biggest thing for me. The Acolyte's never gonna kill the franchise for me. Everyone's like, oh, it's the final nail in the coffin, blah blah, whatever. No, man. Right? I'm still gonna collect my Legos. I'm still gonna go and like these folks here too. Like every one of us. Leslie Headland ain't gonna take Star Wars away from me. Fuck that shit.
If they come
I'm just
out
not on board
the
with what they're
Coven
going to be
leader
making.
action figure, I'm buying it. There's one action figure I bought from the sequel trilogy. Do you know who it is?
Yes, Holdo.
Admiral Holdo. I bought it because that was such a
Holdo.
legendarily shitty character in Star Wars. I'm like, I have to buy this.
Yeah.
And then the only other Disney character that I bought, actually, somebody bought me a Grogu. If you can see, he's upside down, stuffed into the bottom shelf there. The only other Disney character I bought was Cara Dune. And she's in a bubble.
Real quick, shout out to the Melvor from the Game Chasers that's in chat. What's up, Melvor? Actually, when I was in Dallas last week, me and him and Billy and Jay and Dodongo and Tim's wife all went out to eat And it was awesome hanging out with them. Actually,
shit.
Speaking of, I'll show you what Melvor hooked me up with. I haven't even shown Coach this yet.
So one thing I want to talk about really quick, because we haven't talked about it, something that's a huge problem right now that people are arguing about on Twitter. This is not a collector stream. Show it though.
It can be.
What's up, Leia? Good to see you.
Hey, Leia.
One thing I want to talk about is a lot of people on actually really quick before we even do that.
Oh look.
Oh man, there you go.
It's one of the Stan Solo R2.
Coach, look what Nick's got.
O2.
Yeah.
Screw Stan
R2.
Solo. I don't like that guy.
Oh,
He makes some cool stuff.
Yeah, he does. But, anyways,
oh.
I haven't heard. I haven't
Read
heard
it!
coaches. I haven't heard coaches.
I don't like people that make toys that look like they're real.
Oh, okay.
Reproductions are reproductions.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had
If it
to
ain't
get
real, keep it away from me.
We have to talk about something. I need your opinion.
Oh no.
I'm ready.
Did the Force Witches putting a baby in that lady ruin the legacy of Anakin Skywalker? Yes or no?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Only for the younger generation of Star Wars fans that doesn't matter anyways, because they're like the power of one.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just no, but they're definitely in Disney canon going to let you know, X-Wing, that Anakin never would have happened if it weren't for these witches.
Okay. So it does directly affect it.
And the thing is, like, you know, everybody's like, well, we know Shmi Skywalker is one of these lesbian witches now. I love those old Transformers
Oh good.
VHS box.
We're
art.
Poland.
But you know, everyone's like, well, I guess we know Shmi Skywalker is one of these lesbian witches now. But when Qui-Gon's talking to her, he's like,
Maybe
who's
she
the
was
father?
right.
And she's like, I have no idea. You know, I carried him, I gave birth, I can't explain it.
Yeah.
So you know,
For me, it's two different, and maybe it's just me compartmentalizing again, you know, and trying to
It's not
keep
compartmentalizing. It's called coping.
Yes, exactly. Right, but for me, Anakin's inception was because of a different kind of perversion of the Force, right? It was the Force responding to
Yeah, that's
what
not perversion, Risman.
Say again?
That's not perversion.
No, because the Sith perverted the Force, and that's why the response came, right? Anakin was conceived as a result of that. And here we have potentially them saying that, all right, so these witches were messing around with the thread, the Force, whatever. And so she created a child, but two children showed up. Is it because the Force responded and said, nah, I'm not going to let you screw around with the Force and just give you one. I'm going to give you two, and they're going to figure it out? I don't know yet, but I put them in two very different places, Anakin versus these twins.
Okay, so let me run this by you real quick. Very clearly, the witches of this coven are dark side Force users. 100%. I mean, they say it.
No, they never said
say
they were.
it.
What
I
did
don't
they
recall
say?
dark side.
You're attributing the fact that what they're doing
Nah,
is
motherfucker, it ain't like that.
I'm not
dude.
saying you're wrong.
Let me pull it up right now.
Yeah.
because they said
she bald face says it. We
Yes.
were exiled because of what we do is considered dark. They're using the
Yeah.
dark
No,
side of the Force.
and to be
that's not what she
unnatural.
said. That's exactly right,
Yeah.
Nick. She didn't
Yeah.
say dark.
She doesn't
She
say
said they were
unnatural. She
ex-
says
they were-
dark.
They were exiled because what they were doing
Find
was not popular.
I got
It
it.
was not accepted.
They're using the dark side. Moving
I'm
on.
not disputing that they aren't.
So
But all I'm saying is that's not the reason why they were
No.
kicked to the curb.
So dark side Force users create life inside of a dark force user, and then she brings those babies to term. Okay, how is that not exactly what Plagueis was trying to do? He was perverting the force, manipulating the midichlorians. What's Jurassic Park? What's his name? They were trying to play God. And what does the force do when that happens? They create something to counterbalance that.
So if Tenebris shows up, or if a Sith shows up and it's revealed that they were helping them do this.
There's already a Sith.
Who?
Darth Smilus.
But again, all I'm saying is if it's revealed that the Sith helped them do this, because she says the one mother says to the other, you know, oh, I created them, and the other one said, well, if the Jedi knew how you did it, they wouldn't be, you know, shame on you, they wouldn't be happy. You know, so it's leading us to believe that they didn't do it of their own accord. So if it is somebody from the Sith that's helping them, does it make it better? Does it make it worse? Does it not matter?
Here's what I'm going to tell you. This
I
is
got
exactly.
I got the clip pulled up.
I'm going to pull the clip up.
4 seconds.
This is exactly what they're going to do, and it's going to piss me off like crazy. This is why they're going to say that it's never going to be an issue. This is why it doesn't do anything with Anakin. The reason why they're going to say it's not an issue is because the Force intervened and made twins. And
That's what I just said. And didn't I just say that? I just said that.
I wasn't listening. I don't know.
Oh, apparently.
All right, here's the clip of what she says.
Persecuted, forced into hiding, all because some would consider our power dark, unnatural.
So she says
Oh,
both.
she does say unnatural.
Yeah, dark, unnatural. So yeah,
Unnatural. Yeah, 100%.
Gay.
So I mean, look, the witches of Dathomir, they're dark side users.
100%.
But every witch in Star Wars is not. And I think if these were gonna be dark side users, they would have used the witches of Dathomir.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like witches in Star Wars. Period. Just throw that out there. I don't like any of them.
I'm just saying, I don't think that these witches, this coven that we're watching, is being portrayed as dark side or evil in any way.
100%.
Did they do something bad to create the twins? Yes, they did. But other than that, I think and see, so this goes into a much bigger thing than Star Wars for me, which I think is a problem in the real world, where people are of this mind that there's no such thing as right or wrong or good and evil. They blur the lines between everybody. And that's what you do. You take good and you make it look not as good. You take bad and you make it look acceptable. Yeah. And that's what this show is doing. And I think as far as that goes, that's wicked and evil.
No, I 100% agree with what Coach is saying, because I think
Bible,
we are supposed to be looking. I think we're supposed to be looking at this coven of witches as just an ostracized group of folks, right? How would we feel if we were ostracized for believing something different, right? For taking what is generally accepted as understood and yet saying, you know what? For us, it's a little different than that. It looks like this, and you know, you're monopolizing it and all this. So there's obviously, my biggest problem with this series is manifested in this conversation, right? There's this underlying bit of business around the messaging here that I'm like, this is not why I watch Star Wars. This is not why I want to be entertained, right? If I want to have this conversation, I'll walk down the street to the bar and I'll have the conversation in real life.
Yeah.
I'm not watching Star Wars to have to understand about all these nuances, or it's not that deep, bruh.
Yeah, entertain us and quit trying to preach to us.
Don't program me, bro.
Exactly.
I don't need to be programmed. I'll come up with my own opinions.
And I'm certainly
That's what
not
it is.
going to adopt the opinions that you're pushing to me in my favorite franchise of 40 fucking years. Right? This series has really frustrated me as the fan that's been like, well, you know what? I haven't liked Book of Boba Fett so much, but I found a few things. Okay, they ruined the Star Destroyer and Kenobi, but I found a few things, right? Okay, Mandalorian season 3, there's some things I didn't like, but I still found a few things. This series has offended me as a fan.
So you are what I would say probably the closest to the most reasonable when it comes to Disney projects, right? You're like, well, you know what? I'm always going to look for the good. But even you are like, what the fuck is going on? And I'll be honest with you, it's so funny because I'm plugged into other parts of like the Gen Z space, right? I'm on TikTok and Reddit and stuff like that. It's not going well with the young crowd either. I'm seeing TikToks from people that are usually like, yo, did you see that scene in Kenobi? Or they're doing, TikToks about how cool that Kenobi scene was and how it's like the prequels. And in this one, they're like, lesbian space witches? What the fuck are we watching right now? And I'm like, dude, Gen Z's not even eating this.
I've never been on TikTok before.
Don't go.
Never. Yeah.
What did
I know.
Do not come. Do not come.
I've asked lesbians about this series. I have. I was like, what do you think?
Do you feel
They're
represented?
They're like, this series is shit.
Yeah.
It's shit.
The alphabet community doesn't even like this. And in the Disney numbers, the 4.8 million that tuned in, it's the best show ever. It's the bestest ever. And then you look at the ratio. So out of that 4.8 million, how many people actually liked it? Cut that in half, just to be generous. You're looking at under, like 1.5% of the 150 million subscriber base.
Yep.
I mean,
it doesn't look good. The optics are not good right now. And by the way,
there's no way they can spin this in a good light.
We got 301 people here right now, which is, you can tell that people care about this. They give a shit about this because they're showing up. And
welcome
you're
to
here,
Network, guys.
hit that like, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I think I'm only like 170 away from 35K right now.
Let's go.
Hit that button. Nice. We love it. We love it. I wish I had that clip. I should have put it on the end of it.
We keep talking about Willow, by the way. I have to tell you all honestly, and I know I'm the only one here who made it through the end of that series.
Oh, I didn't watch a single episode.
I didn't either.
The Willow series knocks this shit out of the park. This shit is so trash.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
It is absolutely tragic.
It just feels tragic. And I think this is the first, I could be mistaken, I think this is the first of many shows that we're going to see very similar themes in, because somebody said it in the chat earlier. Here it is. Joy Can. They introduce this stuff slowly so that you don't notice what they're doing until it's too late. And I think that's what they were doing with some of the other stuff. They were making a very prominent female base as the shows progressed. It was like more chicks, which is fine.
It's a boiling frog thing,
Exactly. It's a boiling frog. And to be honest with you, what's really pissing me off is that, like, we've had cool chicks in Star Wars forever. Bastilla and Satele Shan are like still some of my favorite. Dude, Satele Shan with her double-bladed blue lightsaber was some of the coolest shit I've ever seen in my life. I loved that in the Old Republic. And now, here's the problem. They're not doing that, dude. They're not even coming close to that. Instead of being able to do cool shit that guys can do and proving yourself as a woman, you're like, dude, I'm a fucking warrior. They're like, men hate us, and so we don't need them. We will reproduce with the Force. And it's like, you're missing so hard, dude. There's so much stuff you could do where daughters of fans like me, if you put a Satele Shan saber in what's that place called, Galaxy's Edge tomorrow, I would buy it for my daughter. I would buy it for her because it's like, see this thing? It's like Darth Maul, but cooler because it was one of the most badass chicks that's ever been in Star Wars. But they just refuse. They refuse. They're actually beating down their own supposed fan base, female fan base, by relegating them to weird cultist psychopathic chicks who pervert the Force. Why not make a cool badass Jedi chick?
And then it goes even worse than that. And I know, Coach, you covered it in your video about, you know, Mother Anastaea's mothering, but the whole point of that was, listen, this is not about witches. That's what they're telling us, right? What I believe is different, right? But what they're saying is, this is not about witches. This is about perpetuation of a legacy. This is about making sure, as parents, that our children can carry on and do all these things. And I'm like, so you've so perverted what we feel, what we know is the familial unit, right? And all these things. And now you're like, well, no, it's not not all that deep. It's just two moms wanting to make sure their kids carry on their legacy. I'm like, this is so wrong, right? You know, under the power of money, you know,
and they had the music playing in the background that was chanting the same crap.
Was that the first?
Oh,
is that the?
so
That has to be the first time in Star Wars we actually have a musical backing to a musical number. I take that back. I guess the Cantina Band, but there's John Williams doesn't like put backing to the Cantina Band. So this is the first musical backing that we have to musical in the front scene.
Yeah, because it's not orchestral here, right? And then again, they put it on StarWars.com. Abels was like, I wanted to make sure that I could represent, you know, all kinds of, you know, I wanted to make sure I could represent all the peoples that we see there choreographing it. I want to make sure we had their music. So I had to have African, I had to have a Persian, I had to have Iranian. You couldn't find this. He was like, I said it, Coach, you know what I'm talking about? I sent it to you.
And I want it to feel like it's from our world.
Yes. He's like, I wanted to make sure I could bring all of those folks' music into this thing while they're choreographing it. I'm like, we have so failed, right? This is not the Kiners don't think about this. The Kiners are like, how can I represent John Williams and bring the music in the right way and make sure that it evokes Star Wars? What we're hearing from this guy, Abels, no, I see everyone that's going to be on screen. I want to make sure they're not offended. I want to make sure I have everything that we can from their backgrounds from a musical standpoint. I'm like, you know what? Go fuck yourself twice, right? It has nothing for me. I am very up. This is the one for me, right? I'm not disrespecting their culture. I'm disrespecting what your thought process is in bringing Star Wars music into this series.
You know what's hilarious too? A really good example of that not working actually happened with Avatar, the first Avatar. James Horner hired a cultural musician that went all around the world and got 147 different samples of different cultural music and was like, we need to make something that it sounds like it's out of this world from something that's here. And they mashed it all together, and James Horner's like, that sounds like shit. Let's just put a symphony in there and make it good. And guess what, dude? The original Avatar soundtrack is a multiple award-winning, incredible, awesome, sweeping cinematic soundtrack that people, to this day, the second you hear it, just like John Williams, the second you hear it, you know that's Avatar. Weird.
If we were given the music for this series, and now put aside this fact that now they have like a new Power of Two fucking thing that they're doing for the credits and all that. But if we were abstracted from anything and we were presented with this music, there's nothing about it that makes me feel Star Wars.
What does it mean?
100%.
It means the one, the two, the many.
What does that
Which
mean?
also, by the way, what the fuck does that mean? The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Listen to this explanation. You ready? About
ready.
that mantra. The power of one, the power of two, the power of many. The Jedi have the power of many. I think the mother started as one and the girls are two, and she wants her legacy to be the power of many. So it was thought of as paying homage to the Clone Wars, but it eventually became the story of a mom and her children and the way that our parents have particular expectations for us. And if Star Wars is anything, it's got a lot of parents and children and living up to or rejecting the legacy of those parents. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Leslie Headland talking about the mantra. And what she just said that wasn't an answer.
I don't get. Wait, what does that have to do with Clone Wars?
She doesn't know. She doesn't know. That's Coach's point. She doesn't fucking know. Oh,
Dude, Frank
think
Gore
Chris
nailed
Gore-
this one.
Yeah, I think Chris Gore nailed the
power one, the power
Oh,
two,
Frank.
power three.
with the lesbian witch.
The power of many.
Nick taught me two in the pinky, one in the stinky.
Yeah. Hey, they like it.
HR nightmare.
my God.
HR nightmare. I don't want to have to explain this to HR after.
Oh my
The
god.
Sundowners Club for 1999 says if we got hot witches that look like Sydney Sweeney, I'd be good with it. Instead, we get a group of ugly women that look like they joined Leslie Headland's lesbian bingo night.
And
On the Star Cruiser.
Leslie Headland addressed this. She said that she wanted to bring what real lesbians are, not what people think lesbians look like.
Wait,
She said this
what?
in an interview. Yeah. So basically, I want to make sure I bring the ugly, dyke, butch-looking lesbians in because that's
no.
real
There's no
'Cause
way
they
that
look
that's
like
real.
me.
Yeah, because they look
She
like
said
me.
that?
Yeah, she said that. Yeah, in an actual interview. Yep. If I could remember which interview it was, but yeah, I just heard it this past week.
I just have to say again for the record, and I know it. I don't need to keep saying this, but I have to. Why in the fuck are we talking about lesbian witches in Star Wars? Why?
It's lesbian wishes. Don't forget. Godzilla for 5 says, I stand by my guns that most women that want Leia hairstyles and Padme outfits. Luke, Han, Leia love triangle. The forbidden pregnancy and marriage of Padme.
Yeah.
You are incorrect. Actually, most fans want to be represented down to the dime for exactly who they are. So the fact that Luke didn't have a fucking awesome mustache and wear an X hat in the original trilogy, I can't watch it. I fucking hate it. I don't feel represented. I don't feel like it really gives me the experience that I want. And so, now I have to look at my daughter, Lily. She's about to be 4 months old. And the fact that she's not a black lesbian means that she can't watch the show. And that's really upsetting for me. So if we can we make more content for 4-year-old girls that don't even know what they're looking at? I mean, come on. Is that so much to ask?
The fact that she can't watch the show is the best thing she has going for her right now.
What a time to live in. What a time.
Yeah.
Come on.
I would love to be a fly in the room when she's looking at all the reactions, when Leslie Headland's looking at all the reactions and all the feedback from these episodes, from this show, seeing the Rotten Tomato scores. Do you think in her mind she's going, oh, this show's great. It's just trolls. Everybody actually really loves it.
You know what the saddest part about this is, Nick? She gets the same paycheck regardless. She's already paid for this shit.
That's
whether
not the saddest
it's
part.
15% or 95%, it doesn't matter to her. Kathleen Kennedy is getting her paycheck. Every one of these folks is getting their paycheck because that's the way that it works. And if we like it or don't like it, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
The saddest part of all of this is that Leslie Headland created the story, the dialogue, the story itself, everything about the threads, all of that made it through multiple levels of Disney Lucasfilm and got green lighted. At no point did somebody stop. And you know what the scary part is? There was probably some shit in there where they did stop it and they're like, this is a really bad idea. So clean edited version that actually made it through the entirety of Lucasfilm, and they said, "Fuck yeah, let's put it out there. Let's do
Dave
this."
Filoni isn't he like the creative master over there, where like everything goes through?
Well, but you know, Nick, this has been going on for 4 years, and he was in that position, and yada yada yada. But I don't think it's I don't think it's actually that deep. I don't think there's multiple levels of people who are approving anything. I think they greenlight the thing. The creative person pitches it, right? In this case, it's Leslie Headland, right? And they're like, you know what? Go forth and conquer. And I don't think anyone's approving nothing, right? It's like, all right, we greenlit it. It's done. It's done. She does whatever she's gonna do, and here it is.
Yep. I would like to see Dave Filoni watching these episodes, because I'm sure he's probably going like, "Oh, such a good job, Leslie. Oh, you know."
I'm sensing that little X-Wing has a metachlorian count of 150. Sorry,
yeah.
X-Wing, we're going to have to take your child.
Yeah. The Jedi would love that child.
Colonizer.
But Nick, on your point, I don't think Filoni cares what happens with this series, right?
No.
Because his salary's paid for. It's before his time or whatever. Because again, what I was saying earlier, I don't know if we're going to play any of it or not. What I said earlier, and Coach knows this from the last interview, but I watched a 45-minute interview with Filoni earlier today while I was eating my dinner. You know, talking about Star Wars, talking about his influences, talking about his experience with George Lucas, all of these things, and everything in that interview for the third time now is exactly the opposite of this bullshit that we're seeing on the screen.
Yep.
I'm like, well, motherfucker, aren't you in charge?
I want to hit the super chat before Homeboy peels out. We'll hit these real quick. Actually, sorry. Let me start here. Dave Bob, member for 23 months. It's almost been 2 years. Dave Bob, my brother, says, I used to be a die-hard Star Wars fan. Star Wars died hard. It hurts my body. I still walk into my office and it feels odd now for some reason. I don't know. They changed it. Matt Deween for 5 says, next logical progression with Filoni behind the scenes is which wolves?
They're
only makes sense, right?
They're coming.
Which wolves is only going to make sense. Maybe this coven all died so that they could send their, corporeal spirit to wolves. Because God, Dave loved those. Doom Guy member for 2 months says, I'm tired of being called a misogynist by Acolyte fans. That's ridiculous. I've never even been to medical school. I got that one. Toddzilla for 5 says, one more thing before I go. The Ewoks cartoon was 16% on Rotten Tomatoes yesterday. And today, it was up to 20%. Star Wars fans bumping up 1986 Ewoks.
Review bombing.
I like those movies.
Yeah, they're review bombing.
It's review bombing again.
Doesn't count. They would do anything other than accept responsibility for bad content. Yeah. Truly. They will do anything other than accept responsibility. Has there been at any point since Disney bought Star Wars where they've gone, we fucked up?
No,
Ever?
Of course not.
No, and not even that. They don't stay silent. They fucking blame other people for it.
Mm-hmm.
They go, it's not us.
Anybody that doesn't like it.
The problem is you. Bad news,
The problem
Badger.
with Star Wars is Star Wars fans, right?
Yeah.
Inverse Lady said this earlier, right? That was such a horrible article. Horrible.
You know what the funniest part is that if you guys remember 4 or 5 months ago, there was this huge argument about who Star Wars is for. Even I made a video on it, I think, at one point, where they said Star
You
Wars
make
has always
videos?
been-
You don't make videos.
Not often, but
Okay.
there was this huge argument that Star Wars has actually always had a massive, massive female following. It's actually about 50-50, right? There was a huge argument, right? It was a huge argument. Girls have always been a big part of Star Wars, which they have been. Not a big part, but they've always been a part of Star Wars. Any nerd girl who wants to be a part of Star Wars, we found like a freaking unicorn. We're like, oh my God, she likes Star Wars. Put a ring on it. But just the other day, Kathleen Kennedy confirms in her own statement that it's a male-dominated fan base.
Yep.
In
Sure
her
did.
own words, it's problematic and it's difficult because of the male-dominated fan base. Well, if
Let's
you've
bring
got
more
the
women
numbers,
into it.
sweetheart, what are you doing? It's again an indication of what they're trying to do. They are, again, I hate using it, systematically attempting to dismantle the original fan base and replace it with a female fan base. That's what they're trying to do. It's Disney.
Not only is it male dominated, but guess what? We have money. We have money and we would love to spend it on this fucking franchise.
Yeah, if anybody saw the room tour that I put up, I've spent a shitload of money on this stuff. Like, I'm willing to spend money on it, but not if it's not
And
for
some
me,
of us are
which
still
it's not
spending
for.
money on it in spite of
Yeah.
her being stupid. But it's, come on now, really?
All right. Bad News Badger for DKK 50 says that moment when people realize that each episode of this show cost the same as 1.5 Godzilla minus ones. One of the greatest movies in theaters right now. I still haven't seen it, but I mean, people are
on
screaming
Netflix.
that it's an
Watch it on
incredible
Netflix.
movie.
Watch it on Netflix.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Okay. So
I think it's
on
worse.
Netflix. I'm gonna watch
I
it.
think it's worse than that, actually, because that assumes that they've carved up the budget across all the episodes. I don't think we've seen yet where they spent the money, right? So I'm like, so we're gonna, it's awful, but we're gonna get to a point where, like, okay, I see it now, and I'm like, but it still sucks. The story still sucks.
So
Who
look,
cares?
let me break in here real quick.
Oh, I missed one.
We were talking about Kathleen Kennedy earlier. Check this out. You know, we throw a lot of words around. Like, I've never been in the entertainment industry. You know, I look at it from a bird's eye perspective. If you say something like director, most people know what a director is. What does a producer do? Okay, so check this out. Producers. This is what Kathleen Kennedy is in the Hollywood Hall of Fame for. Okay? Her career being a producer. Check it out. You would think somebody with an expertise in this could create some good Star Wars. Facilitate and supervise the entire movie production process, from script selection and the hiring of directors and production staff to the evaluation of final edits. That's a producer. That sounds like somebody who would be quite capable of running an entire studio. She can't do it. She can't do it. It's awful. I don't know how the hell she was a great producer. She was, but this has just been awful.
I'm with you 100%. You know, we for those of us, because I'm guilty of this, obviously, right? For those of us, who's this Transformers comics? They're great. But for those,
I didn't know X-Wing was sharing my screen.
I was like, whose screen is it? Coach is talking about.
Jay was saying in chat.
Transformers.
Jay was saying in chat that these are like selling out and that they're really, really good.
Cool.
So yeah, I was sitting here.
Some company bought the rights to G.I. Joe and Transformers comics, and that they've created.
I guess it might have been Image then, because they're
I
printing
guess.
them right now.
Well, they're not doing like it used to be. Like, I can't remember, but anyways, whoever took over Transformers in like the early to mid '90s, they're no longer doing them.
Yeah, it looks like they got looks like 11 issues have been released so far.
Wait a minute. That's 1984 Marvel up there, top left.
Oh yeah. This is the 40th anniversary one. I guess they're
okay.
I guess it's a re-release, but
Gotcha.
No, the 11th one's going to come out August 4th. This is the release date. So
cool.
Looks like the ones that are actually out, that are up to number 9.
And anyway, now that I've undistracted myself, back to Kathleen Kennedy and her credit or lack thereof, right? I think she's been attached to so many things from our childhood, right, that were so magnificent, that were so groundbreaking, that some of us gave her a pass. Okay, fine. You know what? She has fucked this every which way from Sunday, right? She cannot manage any of this, it would seem. And then, if you wanted to give her that last bit of deniability, I have to go back to that last article we got from her. It was the New York Times one, right? Where she was like, well, Leslie, you wrote a great Star Wars story, but we don't want that. We don't want a great Star Wars story. We want a great Leslie Headland story.
Yeah.
So
Which is
go back
mind-boggling.
Go back and fix it up. And she fixed it up, and we're watching it. We're watching it right now.
Yeah.
And
I've
talked
said
to
it-
the Soska sisters just the other day on YouTube. I had a wonderful conversation with the Soska sisters over on Bro Science, and I asked them, what's really the problem here? What's really going on? Who do we blame? A lot of times you point to directors, you point to this, you point to that, but the bottom line is, unless Lucasfilm gets gutted from top to bottom, nothing is going to change.
Yeah.
Lucasfilm is at a point right now where you can change directors. You can put Robert Rodriguez. You can put anything else. You can put Zack Snyder on a project and say that things are going to be different and things are going to change, but they're never going to change. And the bottom line is, just like how Disney is run kind of awkwardly, where usually the head of the company answers to a board, it's kind of the other way at Disney. The board answers to Bobby, and Bobby's trying to get all this different stuff done, whatever the case is, yada, yada, yada. But the perversion does not end unless it's gutted top to bottom. Top to bottom. Kathy Kennedy's not a creative. She wasn't a creative on those projects, all those famous projects that we loved as a kid. She was not a creative.
I don't think you. I will disagree on this one. I don't think you have to gut it top to bottom. I just think you need to cut the head off the snake, right? I as someone who works in a really big corporation, I understand how this stuff works. She needs to go, whether she's retiring or whether they're firing her or whatever. And I don't. She doesn't need to be replaced. We don't need another Kathleen Kennedy, right? We just need to let the people below her, who I know.
Just make sure you're careful about how you say
let
it.
the people what?
What?
I think it's,
just wait. Do what?
we need to let them be creative. She's squelching the people that still exist at Lucasfilm who do understand this franchise, who do love Star Wars, from actually delivering what we want. Which she just needs to go.
All right, let's hit some super chats really quick because Kings, we left over 8 minutes ago. Apologies. Kings Advisors, my good buddy, for $4.99 says, everyone, it's time. We welcome you all to Westeros tomorrow night. Fire will reign. That's going to be a great show to watch.
Yep.
But I've actually heard maybe not.
No, shut up. I don't want to know. Not until I watch it.
Maybe not.
Aron the Blue, member for 1 month, says, I hear to scratch Force philosophy itch. I stay to watch it burn. Should I have read that as like Confucius say?
Confucius say, lady you fly upside down, have crack up. Sorry.
The Machete Order for 10 says, the birth of the twins did not ruin the legacy of Anakin Skywalker. Somehow, Palpatine returning did. That was just, I think that Palpatine return was like less of, actually shit, I don't know. Again, issue, right? The prophecy, he would bring balance to the Force, and then they bring Palpatine back, and they're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
So did you guys see the video floating around the internet where Anakin destroys Palpatine as a Force ghost?
Yeah.
I still don't like it because Palpatine shouldn't be there.
Yes, it's funny. X-Wing brought up the Soska sisters, Jen and Sylvia. I actually didn't even know who they were and met them in Dallas last week. They're super cool. But I'll tell you, one of the coolest people I met in Dallas, Alex Stein, Primetime 99. Man, me and him.
I can't believe you showed up there.
Yeah, me and him sat there and shot the shit for probably about 20 minutes, man.
He looks like he would be someone fun to meet in person.
Yeah, he was one of the nicest people I've ever met. Just sitting there hanging out, just talking all kinds of crap, political stuff, YouTube stuff, culture war stuff. He was such a cool guy.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do we want to pull up just a couple seconds of Filoni talking about?
Pull it up because it's going to be depressing. It's going to be depressing. It's going to be depressing.
Maybe we ended on that. I don't know. Let's see what happens here.
I'll be right back.
Very interested. No problem.
It's going to be depressing. Kings of Vibes is very, very upset that I might actually say that House of the Dragon season 2 isn't going to. I'm not going to say it's for shit. But the first two episodes are apparently very slow burning.
I don't understand how you can watch Dave Filoni talk about Star Wars and go, that's the guy that's going to save it. Because all of us, I would say, as problematic white males who watch this franchise, who would you want to head Lucasfilm? You want a dude who's like, yeah, we're telling a couple stories about some awesome knights that are actually battling a large army of the Sith, whatever the case may be. But you hear Dave Filoni talking, he's like,
well, I think it's important that we bring women in the franchise and make it
that's not at all
make it inclusive for everyone.
But you've not actually ever heard him talk, because that's not what he says.
I listened to him at the 2018, it was a women's convention, I don't remember.
Bro,
that's exactly what he sounds like.
Stop bringing that fucking soundbite up.
Absolutely not.
To what he's saying now.
Okay,
right.
Let's
and
hear
again,
it.
I'm not saying he's saving anything, but this irks me. Right. Okay. This whole soundbite about what he said 6 years ago. Okay, fine. He said it. Right. But what I have a problem with more than that is what he's saying in all these interviews right now, and the fact that we're not seeing that on the screen. That's my point.
Dude's he's a troll. He's a little bridge goblin. I don't like him. But are you gonna share it?
I thought you had it.
Oh,
you want me to share it?
Yeah, share it. You're better at doing the YouTube skip forward and backward, and plus you know where stuff is.
All right, hold please.
Holding. Let's see what the chat is saying. I think do the Echo Boys probably need to go to bed. It looks like.
Mm-hmm. I need to go to bed.
Oh no! Oh no! There she is.
Now.
Oh my god! Why are you licking your teeth like that?
You're not going to bed, really, are you, Steph?
What's on the side of her face? Is that a mole?
I don't know.
You don't want to know.
Oh, it's part of the microphone.
Is she still around?
It's unsanitary. Stop.
Oh no! Listen, I miss Lizzo right now. Please bring Lizzo back. Please bring. What is going on?
This is what they think we want, dude. The chat for $2 sees. You see rocket firing Boba Fett selling for $500K. Yeah, that's always been the one. There's a J and an L. Depends on which one you have. All right, let's bring.
Here he is. Ryan Gary.
I got a jet.
All right.
I got to get up early.
Good night, brother.
Long day tomorrow. Yep, guys. Thank you for having me. Chat. Thank y'all. Yeah. Hey.
Oh wow.
You could catch me over on. I don't know. Anyways, later.
Oh no!
What an outro.
May the thread be with you.
May the thread be with you.
Oh my god.
That poor son of a bitch.
I know,
May the thread be with you. We're all broken right now. All right, let's hear it.
What are we watching? Okay, we're gonna watch this. All right.
In Fairfax.
Can you all hear it?
The official podcast
I can hear
of the
it,
Writers Guild of America West.
I'm gonna shut the music off here.
Ryan Gary. On this episode, I talk with Ahsoka creator and Mandalorian writer Dave Filoni about his expanding the Star Wars universe, his new role as Lucasfilm's chief content officer, and much more.
Chief content
Listen and subscribe
officer.
to Third and Fairfax on Spotify, Apple, or Libsyn.
Can you full screen it?
Watch us on the Writers Guild of America West's YouTube channel. And now, my conversation with Dave Filoni.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
I am sitting here with Dave Filoni, who, among many things, is a writer, a producer, a showrunner,
Oh, I hate
a
that guy.
leader of all things Star Wars
I
and
hate that
content
guy.
and story over at
Do it
Disney
again.
right now. So you're wearing many, many hats. You're actually wearing a hat today, but you wear
Mostly.
many, many hats.
Jesus.
I want to dive right into the middle. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about Ahsoka, both the show and the character, etc. But I want to dive right into the middle. We have a lot of writers, professional writers, existing writers, and aspiring writers who
The
listen to the
double
show.
GA thing.
And I think you offer a really interesting perspective, Dave, because you have
You
taken
sure
this
do, Dave.
character, Ahsoka, you generated it, but it first was conceived inside of an animated series, and then you saw the transition to a live action, and that's probably very rarefied air that you would create a character in one medium, see the transition, be a part of it. It actually introduced the Mandalorian, but then becomes its own show. So let's start with the conversation about how you approach these different mediums, and that your anchor of this character that you've now seen grow up and evolve, et cetera, across the mediums. How did you have to approach it as a writer, as a producer, et cetera, differently as you were making these transitions, because you were the one who was doing it?
I think the
Sorry.
biggest, most important thing about it all was I wasn't alone in it. From the beginning at Lucasfilm, I was very fortunate that George Lucas was going to be working.
Listen to what he
with us on
says.
the Clone Wars, and to have the guy that created all of Star Wars working with you to kind of guide you and tell you yes and no on things is a huge help. It gives you a lot of confidence that, well, if George said that, that's the way we're going to go. And then you execute to the best of your ability. I didn't start on Clone Wars thinking I was going to write anything. I came in as a animation director. I had directed one season on a show called The Last Airbender, Nickelodeon, created by my friends Mike and Brian, and I loved that experience. And like everyone, I'd always loved Star Wars and was a big fan. And I got an opportunity to work at Lucasfilm and be the supervising director. So that was a big deal. But one of the things I was relieved about was that the writing was all on Henry Gilroy. He was going to have to take that on. And I remember we went to a screening of Empire Strikes Back at the Egyptian Theater before we went up to Lucasfilm. And just watching Empire, I just looked at Henry and I said, "Oh man, can you do that? That's really the dialogue here is really good." Just joking with him, but it's Star Wars is a specific thing and it's challenging. And
is he shitting on it?
Like any writing, it's very personal to who you are
No.
and what you bring to it. So it became clear working with George that he's a director that writes his own stuff, and that
He's basically saying
because
he was
especially in
totally
editorial, you
unqualified
wanna
and never
to,
thought he would get the job.
go over things and change the dialogue and improve it.
I'm shocked.
So I learned alongside George. I learned alongside Henry. I had a lot of support in my early days of writing. And when I go, maybe any of us, when we go back and look at what we first did, you can cringe a bit. You're like, wow, really figuring that out. That's on the nose. And, also episodically in animation, we made so many episodes, you got to learn across the seasons. So we weren't just improving the animation, the way it looked, the way it rendered. We were improving, the
facts,
the voice of the characters, and learning that voice. And sitting at an editorial, room and having George say, "Well, Obi-Wan would probably say this," and then he just riffs off a line, and you're like, "Yeah, that's Obi-Wan." Like you could just hear it coming from him, and it really helped to understand the voice. So animation gave me a whole lot of experience to succeed and fail, to try things that worked and to see what didn't work. And as we went, hopefully, we all like to think it got better and better as we went. And then again, as far as like learning from someone, when I got to live action, when Disney came in and bought the company, and Kathleen Kennedy was here.
Here we go.
She asked me, "Well, what would I like to do?" And I said, "Well, working with George, I really am interested in live action.
I hate it.
I'd like to see if I'm capable of that." And so she set up a situation where I could go and visit J.J. Abrams when he was working on set, and Rian Johnson, just because I told her I want to be in the environment. I want to see what the environment's like. I think I have to understand what all these people are doing if I'm going to have to be responsible for them and all their work. So I would just go and observe. And really, Ryan was the guy who just grabbed me and shoved me up by the camera and put a lens in my hand and said, "Look at this and look at that and look at this." And you know, he was very adamant
Okay, pause it.
that it was something I could do. And
Somebody look at this. Look at that.
He-
Would you look
he's,
at this?
he's talking about
Look at that.
interning. He's basically talking about interning.
All right. So you're George fucking Lucas's Padawan. You are his fucking prodigy. And they stick you with Ryan fucking Johnson, and they're like, "This is how you do it." No wonder he's so fucked up.
Well, and the context is because Dave Filoni never had any live action experience. And so it's like, well, I mean, he has a notion for it and all that. And so like, well, the only live action shit we have going on at that time was JJ and Ryan. So of course he presents himself and then Ryan, oh, here you go. you go and do.
Dude. Well, that explains like a fair bit. Okay, moving on.
It's so good. This interview is so good.
Talk about exposing.
Years ago when I worked on Clone Wars, and his son was actually the first person outside the studio to ever see our new animated Clone Wars. He was making Iron Man at the ranch, and so we kind of connected.
Talking about Favreau now.
And it was just, you know, very providential because years later, when he was pitching Mando, Kathy said, Dave has a lot of experience with this. You should talk to him. And he knew who I was. And so we immediately connected, as fans and friends. And having John there as I transitioned from writing animation to writing live action, I think was a very big deal.
I just want to ask you a question. Yeah. I just want to, before we get to
I'm a talker. So
no, I love it.
Anytime you need. Sorry.
No, you're spitting a good story. And so before we fully transition from the animation and move into the live action, I think it's really interesting how you talked about, without saying the word, apprenticeship. And, because, for hundreds, if not 1,000 years, our art form has always been a form of apprenticeship. Actually, all the kind of performing arts. If you wanted to be an actor, you would go and you would become part of a theater troupe, and you would learn. You would build sets, and you would do things, and you would be part of this.
You said a pause?
No, I said polls up. I'm putting a poll in the chat.
Apprenticeship. Same thing with writing, and even in the early days of television, you'd come in and you would learn and all that. But I'm sure you do, because you have to police it on one side and exploit it on the other side.
Wait. I went too far.
And you can focus on that area
because he's talking about
kind of see the transition first in from doing the animation and then doing the writing of the scripts and then transitioning
there's
to
a lot
live
of
action
talk in this interview.
But as we look at the animation, what's really fascinating about that is, and it's going to get to our later questions about canon and the universe and franchise and all that. But I'm sure you do. You have to police it on one side and exploit it on the other side. So, but in terms of looking at these worlds, I think people forget that outside of the original movies, and this is even before JJ comes in and starts the last three, is outside of those movies, there was the apocryphal attempt at a live action at one point that kind of had some development. It's probably more lore than anything else now. It was the Clone Wars. Clone Wars, that was Star Wars outside of the movies. And for a lot of people, a lot of kids especially, their introduction to Star Wars was the Clone Wars, the animated series, and the movies, the animated movies, et cetera, that part of it. So in terms of world building and being a part of these massive worlds, and you, again, obviously you're beside George Lucas when you're doing this, especially those early seasons, how did you approach coming into this thing that had these iconic films, and yet in many ways you are building this world out for a whole new generation of people to experience Star Wars?
That's interesting. I don't know, when you put it like that, it's just something naturally that I did. I didn't think of it in a grandiose way, to be honest with you. And I don't know, there were a couple of things about it. I had obviously soaked up a lot of Star Wars knowledge. My first job in the industry was on King of the Hill.
King of the
I
Hill,
think
yeah.
everything,
No shit.
Yeah.
you know, shapes what you're going to be able to
George
do.
Lucas, Mike
Propane and
Judge.
propane
For sure.
accessories.
No,
Well,
he wrote
I
King of
gotta
the
say,
Hill.
it's worth saying that's an incredibly well written show.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, I mean, it taught me about, you know, the family dynamic in it, the situations in it. We drew it in a very kind of traditional, wanting to be sitcom 3-camera way in its inception. When I started drawing it, I had an episode where Hank went to the Dallas Cowboys training camp. And so I did it, I shot it more like The Natural. I say shot it, but I drew it.
Sure.
And the writers got all very excited about that, you know.
I want
But it
15 minutes
informs,
with
you
Dave
know,
Filoni.
you're learning
Bro,
all the time.
it's-
To your point of mentorship, you're
So
learning all the
interesting.
time. You know, I love stories about mentorship. As an artist, my family, my father was an architect and also staged opera. My mother was a musician and a music therapist. The arts were something that were very well supported growing up. It wasn't something that seemed ridiculous to them that I'd want to engage in. It was well supported in many ways. You know,
Top
and
commenter right
that
now,
was
dude.
important. The idea that I would have a mentor was something my parents were aware of. They're like, as an artist, it's important. And over the years, you know, I could run down a list of people like Joe Horn in animation, Sean Cashman, like different people that really made an impact and taught me stuff. So when I got to George, you know, it's just obvious he's immensely knowledgeable. And
You would hope so.
you know,
He
just
fucking made it.
what struck me was when we sat down, when I interviewed for the job
Listen to this. This is so
of
good.
you know, supervising this show, supervising director, he explained basically what Jedi are and how the Force works. He looked through my portfolio very quickly, which I thought, yeah, I'm not getting this job because, you know, I'd never done computer animation before. I was all hand drawn 2D. I'd only directed one season of anything. So, you know, underqualified would be a nice way of putting it, I thought. But my whole goal was
How did we go from propane to the Force? Is basically what he.
Well, that was, you know, I would have filmed Roman. Yeah, that's a whole little journey, I suppose.
Yeah.
But in the meeting with George, what struck me was when he started explaining Star Wars to me, just in a very natural way. I was like, yeah, that was the way I understood it. What was in a fun way, a lot of things he was saying about how Jedi are,
But that's not the
how
way
they
he
react,
understands it
what
now.
the Force is. I was like, oh, I was right and my friends were wrong. That was, yeah, just naturally, I was inclined that what George has been saying in the films, I think that I was in tune with. And I thought he was very nice. You know, you're always worried meeting someone that you would look up like that, but he was super nice. I shook his hand, said, it's very nice to meet you, because I thought that was it. And I thought I'd have this great story for in line at the movies. And, you know, I met George Lucas once. Isn't that great? But then I got hired on, and that's when it really, we thought we were hired, Henry and I, to do this show, Clone Wars. We thought, oh, an animated series would be about 2 years. I'll move up to Marin or something and live there, I guess.
Oh, did we
I don't know
lose
what that
Risman?
experience
Oh, there he is.
all I've had. And, you know, we had some preliminary meetings with George.
You know, the interesting
Dang,
thing
this
to
is a
me.
45-minute long interview.
Yeah, we don't have to watch the whole. We don't obviously have to watch the whole thing, but there's some other parts in it that are very interesting. But he goes on to say everything that he learned, you know, and what Star Wars is all about, and what is important to focus on, and all these things around what he was taught and what it means and how
And
you
he's
should write
lying.
it. And none of it we see on the screen at the moment.
I think he has it in his head. Okay, so here's the problem. I think in his head he understands it. In execution, he destroys it. If that makes sense. So
Yeah.
in his head, he absorbed all the lessons of George Lucas. When it comes time, you know, the only thing I can think of is I was a fencer for a long time. So I did épée, foil, all those different things. I had an amazing coach, incredible coach. I mean, the guy was an Olympic fencer, awesome dude. I would hear everything he would say, and I would absorb it into my soul. And I'd be like, man, this is how I need to fight. This is the way I need to approach different, you know, opponents. And then I would get out there and I would just get fucking wrecked. And he's like, I told you everything and you didn't do any of it when you got out there. And I was like, well, I heard what you said and I tried to apply it to my own technique. And he goes, don't apply it to your own technique. Do exactly what I fucking told you. I feel like that's Dave Filoni. Like, apparently, I'm like, we're the same person in that aspect. I hear what they say, I absorb it into my soul, and I really feel it, and I can talk about it. And I'm like, yes, this is what you have to do. And then you step out on the line, you get confronted with an opponent, and you fuck it up completely. That's Dave Filoni.
Yeah, I mean, before Ahsoka came out, we were literally saying this is the trial of Dave Filoni. This is where he either separates himself from the Ron Johnsons and all those people,
and shitty creators,
or he falls in line with all them. And good God, man, he did not excel and come out on top at all.
All right, here we go. The Machete Order for 10 says, X-Wing, I'm convinced of Filoni's competence to lead Star Wars. It's just a complicated chess game. He can't lead Star Wars if he's fired from Lucasfilm. Have faith. No. I will not have faith.
Dave Filoni day one. If I took over Lucasfilm, Dave Filoni would be fired day one for me.
100%. I'm getting rid of that dude fucking immediately.
Yeah.
And there's two reasons why. The reason that I just told you, where he apparently absorbs lessons and then fucking ignores them when it comes to actually putting things out. And secondly, this dude has a fucking ego on him, which he shouldn't have. He's got a fucking ego on him the size of a truck full of dildos because I studied under George Lucas. I'm his apprentice. He thinks he's the end all be all. And I'll tell you right now, the humble guy who doesn't spout any of that shit right now is Sam Witwer. If you want to get somebody in place that can actually do this shit right, put Sam Witwer in not Kathleen Kennedy's position, but Dave Filoni's position, and we are in a completely different world. Completely different world.
I have to disagree with you on this
Of
point.
course you do. I'm right.
if again, this is just one example in this interview. What I agree with you is obviously he says, I studied under George Lucas. Okay, clearly. But what he says time and time again is, I'm not his successor. Nobody can.
You're damn right you're not.
No, but what he says is true, right? He says nobody can be George Lucas's successor, right? All anyone can do, absent George Lucas being involved, is try and take what he said, what he experienced as being with him, and try and carry that forward. And again, always you're going to put your own spin on it, right? None of us is George Lucas, right? Dave Filoni, none of us are, right? The only one who's George Lucas is George Lucas. And so it always goes back to how we evaluate, is he doing what we think George Lucas would do if he was still involved?
No.
So I don't think Dave Filoni's purpose is to subvert what George Lucas did, right? I still think he's the best we got. He's certainly better than Leslie Headland. Who
will send you to Jesus.
George Lucas not coming back, right?
We know that.
So who would you like to have leading the charge?
All right, let me put it to you a different way, okay? Let's just pretend for a minute Star Wars is religion, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to pretend for a minute. Anakin is Jesus. It's the Immaculate Conception, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Historically, people are like, we have to keep these texts the way they are. And you pass them down through people. And one guy goes, I'm going to put my fucking spin on it. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I think this story needs a little bit of pepping up. It needs to change. And all of a sudden, now, instead of Jesus and the Immaculate Conception, it's like, dude, we got fucking witches and shit. We got all this stuff going on. Fuck it. I know I learned from, my mentor, but let's put our own spin on it. I'm just going to do the best I can. And then Rissman comes out from the back room and is like, he's doing the best he can. Nobody's going to be Jesus. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to be Jesus. We just do the best we can. I'm like, no, Give me the fucking word of God the way it was supposed to be written.
But God's
It's
not
an
coming
allegory.
back. God is not coming back. Right?
I'm just saying, don't pervert it.
You are aspiring to a purpose that's never going to happen. Right?
Because
So
people
you
don't
have
care
to,
enough.
No, because it can't happen. Because he's not coming back, bro. Get over it. So who is
he's gone, okay? Stop fucking yelling at me. I know
So,
he's
but,
gone.
but what we have to say is, what are we going to get that's the next best thing?
Nothing.
Who is it? It's not Filoni. Fine. Let's say it's not Filoni. Who is it? Tell me.
Nick from Echo Base Network.
I would bring in Drew. What's his Karpyshyn?
Yeah.
I would bring in him. A lot of the EU writers, Alan Dean Foster, Marsha Lucas. I would bring her in.
She ain't gonna do shit with Star Wars. Not these days. She's done.
I mean, she said in the interview,
Sam fucking Witwer. He's
Yeah.
one of the only ones who are young enough now that you could put him in a very specific role in Lucasfilm and let him mature in that role.
Yeah. Marsha Lucas did say, Kathy, call me.
Timothy motherfucking Zahn. Oops, dropped it.
Man, I would
Timothy
say
Zahn.
Timothy Zahn also, but the only thing that gives me pause with him is when we were at Icon talking to him about Thrawn and then bringing him
He
in.
sold the fuck out. We all know he sold out.
He said, I'm confident as long as Filoni's writing it, they'll get Thrawn right. And look what we got.
Zahn fucking sold out, and we know. And I don't blame him at all for it.
Nobody sold out as much as Lucas, but I mean, he did sell out.
Yeah. But that's the bottom line. I mean, once George left, it was like, what are we doing? They all saw the tidal wave long before we did. Because when they first bought, I was like, hallelujah. Look at how much money we're going to get to throw at this thing. This is going to be incredible. This is the golden age of Star Wars. And here we are, not in the fucking Bronze Age, but the fucking Stone Age. Before the Stone Age. I don't know. Shit in a bucket. That's where we are with Disney Star Wars right now.
Yeah. I'd get Josh and John from Cobra Kai too. I mean, I'd like to see them do a
How about that? How about that for a fucking board for Star Wars? Sam Witwer, Ryan Kinnell, and Star Wars Theory. If those were the only three people that were in charge of Star Wars right now, I'd be a happy boy.
Yeah.
I
I would take them over who's in there right now any day of the week.
I personally, I would deselect Star Wars Theory, but I get it.
He fucking gets it. He's the prequel bro that I am. Like, he gets it. He's the prequel bro. I'm a prequel bro. You guys, you don't give enough credit.
Mauler and Critical Drinker, I'd be good with them, jumping in there too.
Throw Drinker and Mauler in there in the story aspect.
Oh yeah.
They would fucking nail the story because Drinker's a good writer.
No.
Jesus Christmas. All right. Machete Order for 2 says Dark Ages of Star Wars. This ain't the Dark Ages, bro. This is beyond the Dark Ages. I think I missed this one. Joey Ebbs for $4.99 said, dude looks like Kiadi Mundi, but human. Look at that 5-head. Shit. The chat for 5 says, I said, may the thread be with you in the G&G tabletop live stream comments and almost got banned. All in good fun. I don't blame him, but at the same time, this shit's all in good fun. We're just having fun. Macadama. Did I read this? No, I didn't. Early May 2024, Disney lost $20 billion in market value in under 6 hours. Equal to Warner Bros. Discovery market cap. The market cap of Warner Bros. Discovery. What happened after? Bob Iger announced that Disney would stay the fucking course.
He's an
dude. Idiot. What else do you guys need to hear? What do you need to hear?
Sold all his stock. He's out now.
This shit is cooked.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
Yeah.
This shit is cooked. It's so beyond cooked. It's not even funny anymore. So, there were a lot of people that said after the sequel trilogy, Star Wars was cooked for good. And I said, you know what? I'm going to hold on. I think they can do it. We got chapter 16 of Mandalorian season 2. I said, thank God I held out because this is what we needed. The stock took a bump. We're good. What's happened since then? Pure fucking hubris.
Yeah.
And nothing else. The stock has absolutely drastically dropped. I mean, it was down near 80 there for a bit, and then it pumped back up and everybody's happy. And now we're back down somewhere around 80, right?
Well, we're definitely below 100. I don't know what it is right now, but yeah.
I can't do this anymore. I cannot, in good conscience, be a part of this fan base anymore.
Yeah,
It has been
99.97.
What you're not going to actually.
on
You're not
Friday.
ditching. Come on, X-Wing. You're not.
I
ditching.
want to fucking stop the channel. I'm done. Like today. All right, Risman, here's what happened. And I thought about this and I thought about it and I was like, man, I'm going to have to talk about this tonight. I was at a kid's birthday party today. All right. With my 4-month-old.
I wanted that birthday.
I was at a birthday party with my 4-month-old daughter. And then all these different people with like their kids, 3 years old, 2 years old. Some of them were 8, 6 months old, blah, blah, blah. Everybody walking around. They had no fucking idea what just happened last week with Star Wars. My world came crashing down because I'm like, dude, this is literally as far as you could get it down to the ground. It's almost subterranean fucking drilling at this point. They're fracking they're fracking Star Wars. Like they've gone subterranean. Everybody was walking around having a good time and enjoying life. And in my mind, I'm like, fuck, Disney's, oh God, they screwed Star Wars. This whole thing is fucked. And I looked at everybody else and I'm like, this is how happy my life could be if I just ejected Disney from my life. Everybody's having fun, hanging out, eating pizzas, and I'm still pissed off about fucking Disney Star Wars. I'm like, if I just eject this from my life, I'm going to be one of the happiest dudes in the world. I'll go golfing. It's just like, fuck it. I don't have to talk about it ever again. I don't have to worry about it. Fuck Kathleen Kennedy. Fuck Disney. Fuck Lucasfilm. Fuck everything. I'm done. I'm out of Star Wars. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And my life would just take this massive like happy turn. That's what Star Wars is now. It's a fucking drain. It's horrible. I'm done. Like I don't want to be a part of it anymore. And I have this Disney, this fucking Star Wars channel. What do you do? What do you do? Do you keep talking about it? Do you let it ruin your life? Do you stay pissed off or do you just let it go?
No, you don't let it ruin your life. You just have fun with it. Like it's not ruining my life, but we're starting to branch out and doing other stuff on our channel. So, we did the whole X-Men 97 stuff. We're going to be doing House of the Dragon season 2. So we're going to do some other stuff that we're going to have some positive things to talk about. So that'll kind of balance it out.
It helps.
Plus, between doing Mr. H review streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays, our EBN cast on Fridays where I really don't talk about Star Wars stuff at all. And then Doomcock stream on Wednesday nights, where we talk about all kinds of stuff. The only time I really talk about Star Wars stuff is if it's hot and trending, at this point.
Yeah, and
it was just it was my life, man. And like,
but you can't let Leslie Headland let what we're looking at right now take all of the love we have for the franchise away from us. Right?
It's not Leslie,
so
buddy.
This whole thing. Oh, I'm done. It's over. I can't do this anymore. All the rest of it. For me, I'm like, nah, they ain't gonna never do that to me, right? I'm just gonna, I'm gonna wait for the next thing, right? I'm gonna keep on keeping on, right? I'm gonna, like Nick said, I'm gonna talk about other things that I love, right? I don't exist to talk about this that right now I'm not liking, right? But I am still a Star Wars fan, right?
Yeah.
And they're not gonna take the Star Wars franchise away from me just because they're making bad decisions. Fuck that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm literally surrounded by Star Wars stuff on my desk right here.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Machete Order for 20 says X-Wing bad Star Wars is a good thing. They can't do this forever. They're going to have to change at some point. We've been in this for over 40 years. Well, at least for me. What's another few years? And to your point, Machete, I think that this whole Acolyte thing might have been a giant fucking cup of coffee for a lot of people. that we've been saying,
This
hey,
is the bottom. This is the bottom of the barrel. I am convinced.
don't tempt the gods, Crispin. Don't tempt the gods.
No, I know you said, no, I can never say it can't get any worse. This is the worst it can get.
Do you think it's going to get to single digits on Rotten Tomatoes by the end of the season?
I'm just excited for, Acolyte season 2, 2026, where they find out that actually, lightsabers are also vibrators if you turn it to a different setting. And we'll have two lesbians hand fucking each other with their vibrators and yelling at white people about how they're fucking bad. That is literally the road we're headed down, and I'm done.
I will say again, sadly, that Leslie did say she wanted to do something with a lightsaber, that they told her, no, we can't do that. And they're like, no, I really want to do this. And so she pressed them and then they did it out. They figured it out. So we do still, and this is not the lightsaber whip, by the way, that Vernesta Green Lady, stupid Babylon 5 looking person.
Wife of
yeah. It's
Harvey
not her
Weinstein
lightsaber whip. This is a different take on a lightsaber. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a rainbow lightsaber. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. But we are still going to see another take on a lightsaber.
And these lightsaber hilts are girthy.
Oh my god, dude!
I mean,
you know what?
like,
I've been waiting a long time for this one.
It's a lot thicker than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
no, they look like they just bought them at Galaxy's Edge, Nick.
Don't forget that while all this is going on, Soul hands a lightsaber to a fucking child.
Yeah.
And is like, hey, do you want to be part of the Jedi Order? Check it out. We got super dangerous weapons. What if she fucking turned that on?
Yeah.
Well,
what if she turned it on and cut Soul's head off? Or worse off, put the blade through her fucking brain.
But I mean, Kenobi did the same thing with Luke, right? He could have very easily turned it on and cut Kenobi's head off.
He was a little
You sound like a separatist.
I'm just saying, these little nudgy arguments to me is the worst. It's the least part of the problem that we're having with this series. The biggest part of the problem we're having with the series is up to this point, the story sucks. And if you're telling me that the story doesn't suck once I get through the 8th episode, I am done with that fucking argument. I am done with the whole, you have to get to the end to see the best part of it.
I'm so tired of that, dude.
Motherfuck yourselves, right? If you're giving me a story that loses me after the 3rd episode, then go fuck off.
I had an argument the other day with somebody about that. It was like, hey, don't judge a show by the first 3 episodes. And it's like, if I'm disinterested by the 3rd episode, I'm fucking off. Like, I'm leaving. I don't care. Man, and they're like, no, I'm the opposite of that. Like, I like being super disinterested and waiting until the end of the show. Like,
listen, who says, my God, I've hated this. I've hated all of this. But you know what? I gotta stick it out to make sure I
can't wait until my expectations are subverted.
It could all make sense later,
It's such a backward style of writing that doesn't make sense, and it seems to be the theme. The theme is make a show shitty, but you have to watch the whole thing because at the end it's gonna subvert your expectations.
It's gonna be good.
If you want to do it that way, you know what you have to do? Drop all 8 fucking episodes at the same time.
Correct.
Don't tease me, right? Drop all 8 episodes then. If you're that sure that I'm going to love it by the time it's done, you know what? Put your cards on the fucking table.
Lay it out.
All 8 episodes at the same time.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched the first episode of Cobra Kai, first episode of Breaking Bad, I was hooked. I was like, give me the next episode. I'm
That's
ready
how you
to go.
write a show.
Yeah. I mean, and there's tons of shows like that,
peak, and hook.
Yeah. This 3rd episode in, and it's just like, God, I wish I didn't have a YouTube channel and had to make myself watch this crap.
Yeah.
Because we know what's happening in the 4th episode. In the 4th episode, they're gonna give us a pronoun on the creature, on the fucking little thing. We don't know what is it here. We're gonna call it I don't care.
Yeah, they're gonna correct themselves and then use the pronouns. Oh, I didn't
Thank
know
God
the
I have this
pronouns.
show to teach me how to be a person in today's society. Thank God. For that.
Okay, it's a they. It's a they. That's the least of my problem. You know what?
Yeah.
It still sucks.
Yeah.
All right. I'm done screaming. I'm done screaming. I'm done. I'm done.
I didn't think you screamed.
I mean, we got episode 4 this week. We'll be doing a lot more screaming, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, by the way, if anybody has enjoyed tonight's conversation, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be back. I'm going to finish this series. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself.
We have to. We have to see it through because you know why, X-Wing? Because by the 8th episode,
Otherwise, we'll understand at the end that it's incredible.
By the time we see it all together, we're going to be like, oh my God, my eyes are opened. This was the best storytelling of any television ever.
If
She's
only,
a master.
if only I'd finished it out, we'd see that Leslie Headland is the legendary storyteller.
Oh
I
my
don't care.
God. This is the best thing we've never wanted to see. It's amazing.
I'll tell you what I believe in. I believe in this community.
You believe?
I believe in this channel.
I know you believe.
I believe in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't know, chat. Do you believe?
Yeah, they believe.
Nick, do you believe?
Fuck no.
Oh no, you have to say you believe because he's in a two.
I do. I believe. I believe. I believe.
You believe? Okay.
Doing the-
I'm just making sure. Just making sure. I have to wait for the chat to start saying they believe. Do you believe, chat?
No, they're
chat,
saying
do you
no.
believe?
They don't believe. They don't believe.
Chat, you have to believe.
Some of them do.
If they don't believe enough, I mean, this is like Santa Claus. If you don't believe enough, we're not going to be able to finish the stream. Just believe.
Well, I could just keep ranting if they don't believe.
It doesn't. All right, Mary Lanning.
There's a few believers. There's a few believers. Yeah.
This is it. Everyone, have a good night. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. Subscribe, hit the like button. Help me out for whatever reason I keep showing up here every single week and screaming at the camera. I don't know why I do it, but we are here. I will be there for you Tuesday night when this shit drops again. I will do a watch party.
Look at the power of one. highlight the power of one.
The power of
man. Not the
many.
gatekeeper. No, highlight the next one. Highlight the next one. The power.
I believe.
No, keep going.
Oh,
the power. The power of many.
Oh, make it make sense. I'm leaving. Everyone, have a good night. I love you. Believe.
Oh, you did get another super chat.
My time has come. You must continue your journey without me. What are you? What? Master! You can't leave me. You must believe. Master!
Hey, even Wookiees need a little love. Have you ever heard a Wookiee's fantasy? You don't want to make her angry. Or do you? Call now at 1-900.
I am so sorry for that. Everyone have a good night. Goodbye.